welcome to the finals of our second Boulder World Cup in Salt Lake City, Utah. My name is Pete Woods. I'm joined by Meiringen Martin, former national team climber and analyst with us here in the booth. Megan, I'm not even going to talk about the weather. The weather has done a 180-degree turn. It's 11 degrees. It might be perfect finals temperatures, and we're standing looking at these beautiful boulders. What do we have in store in the next hour and a bit?
I mean, we have so much excitement in store. If you tuned in to the semifinals, it was so exciting as well. I think we're going to see more of that. Lots of coordination, lots of pressing, lots of small crimps, basically anything you could ever want. So, and on top of that, oh my gosh, I can't do math. 12 very talented athletes, 6 men and 6 women in the finals tonight, starting with the women first, with the men to follow. And we've got a huge crowd. Again, so glad the weather cooperated because tickets, I know ticket sales were really good. So the fact that we were able to have this huge crowd is amazing.
And we look at here, this is our back-to-back weekends. This middle part, it's near the beginning, but this part of the IFSC calendar where we put Salt Lake City back-to-back, it's really cool because all of the athletes that are in both weekends stay. And they climb, they hang out, they train together. The training center is packed full of athletes. And Megan, as you said, 6 down from 20, a few highlights from our semi-final round. Zach Hella getting a top. It's going to be a little bit of everything here. So this is a good look at the boulders that we saw earlier today. This is how we picked our finalists. Lots of USA jerseys out on the mats. You see Jakob Schubert there. Not quite getting in, but really
great climbing from him
today,
having
a really good crowd moment.
Camila Moroni was in finals last weekend, didn't quite make it this weekend, but it was nice to see her on top of lots of boulders.
And then, I mean, you got to feel that Kito is a little bit disappointed, but Chae-Yoon Seo there, who we just saw, I am so excited to see her climb these finals boulders today.
Same.
And then Afra, slightly disappointing around from her as well. So we know that if you make the semi, you want to make the final, but we can only take 6. You see Jung Won Chan there, ecstatic to have made it in, and that top in that moment is what put him in the finals. We're going to go women first, as Megan said, so we're focusing. If you're not familiar with the finals format, all of the athletes climb 1 boulder at a time. So the first athlete comes out, they have 4 minutes to try the boulder, and then once they're done, either their time or their attempt, we bring the next climber out. So we're focused on 1 boulder at a time. One of the most interesting parts about a World Cup final is that you add nearly 20 minutes of rest after every boulder. So we give them less time to climb it, but they've previewed it. So we change it around a little bit. The boulders can be harder because there's more recovery and they have time to work the sequence out ahead of time, which is normally the first minute of an on-site round. But that extra rest means that we see people climbing right down to the wire. Exactly,
and then if they do end up getting cold at all behind the wall, there is a way for them to warm themselves up on hangboards and extra holds lying around in case, they end up worrying that they're going to get cold. And also it's nice too because you get that preview time. So say the third boulder is a little more crimpy, you can make sure you warm up your fingers a bit more behind the wall and not have to worry about it too much right away. So it's nice to have that option.
And it adds a layer of gamesmanship and strategy where you're all together in the first isolation. So you're all sitting together, the first timer goes out. If they're gone for 4 minutes and the crowd is sort of medium warm about it, you're pretty sure they didn't send the boulder. If they go out and 45 seconds later they call you out, that's
pressure's
a top.
on.
The pressure's now on. So some of the athletes will actively, maybe teammates sometimes will talk to each other. Did you send that boulder? Did you send this boulder? They won't necessarily talk about attempts. Everyone's a little bit different. I know the times I competed in this format, I was headphones on. I didn't want to know. But people will sometimes talk about it. So there's every chance that they know what they need to do to get on that next boulder to get that final. So you'll come out on the last boulder knowing that if you top, you win or you're on the podium. And I find that to be sort of these extra layers to the mental game.
For sure. Getting into that athlete presentation now with Chae-Yoon Seo and Natalia Grossman and Futaba Ito, Miho Nanaka coming out now. Brooke Rabatu Big cheers for both Brooke and Natalia in finals both weekends in Salt Lake City. Big deal for Team USA.
Just making sure she gets to the right side.
Ayala Karim.
And then the story of the semifinal round.
The story, first time an Israeli woman is in the final in a bouldering World Cup.
Her first final, of
Her
course,
first final
at the
as
same
well,
time.
yes.
And she stomped on boulders.
Yeah, it was amazing climbing from her today. So really nice to see her put that together.
Yeah, really excited to see what this group of women is going to put together. Miho Nanaka, we know, can deliver. Brooke, we know, can deliver. Natalia, we know, can deliver. Futaba has been hovering on the edge of greatness for years. She's been in the semifinals every year since, I think, 2017 and has yet to podium. Is this her breakout moment? And is it Ayala's breakout moment as well? Can Brooke win at home? Can she beat Natalia? There are too many storylines. Too many storylines to talk about. I am, and I have been for a long time, a fan of Miho Nanaka's climbing, and I had a look at these boulders, as I know, Megan, you did. We walked through, and I would love to see Miho take home a gold medal. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute. I mean, I think looking at the boulders, it really favors every single one of these women's skill sets. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. And here's a quick look at that observation time they had. So the women get 2 minutes on each boulder to check out the boulders. You're allowed to touch the start holds and nothing else. You'll see the athletes kind of chat with each other. They are all wearing their masks right now, so we can't really tell.
Can't see what's happening.
Or I guess most of them. Maybe Brooke is not, but we can't really see, and Ayala is not as well, but can't see as much what they're saying. Sometimes you can read their lips a little bit, like, oh, there's a toe hook there, I'm going to press here. And
sometimes you'll get teammates talking together, and then just depending on who's in the final and how much they share, you sometimes see full collaboration, and sometimes you see a bit of seclusion. So athletes who don't want to be part of the team chat will hang out on their own, and sometimes people are just like, I'm not sharing my beta with you because, you know, I'm going to share it with my teammate, and we're here to win. It's a really cool part of the process, but it's still a competitive sport. There's pride, medals, and money on the line. So this is your start list. As we saw them come out and we saw them previewing, we're going to go in reverse order with how they qualified out of their semifinal. So Futaba Ito is going to come out first, followed by Chae-Yun Sao, Natalia Grossman, Miho Nanaka, Brooke Rabatu, and Ayala Karim. And we're used to seeing how Natalia and Brooke in the final. We've been used to seeing Miho, the Japanese team, very, very strong.
Used to seeing Chae-Yun in the lead final, but this is her first bouldering final. And Futaba has been in a couple finals so far, but never on the podium. Nope. So we'll have to see if she can make that happen today.
There's a lot to watch for. Not to mention, you're just going to see 4 really cool boulders. Yeah. We have separation in all the rounds. So the route setters in the final, the semifinal round. If you watch the semifinal, then we talked about it. If you didn't or you're not super familiar, the semifinal tends to be the hardest round of the whole competition. We have to take 20 of the best, and we have to pull 6 out. So we get separation out of that, and it allows the route setters to flex their creative muscle a little bit here, and we see really cool movement. We can see very difficult boulders because we had the preview, because we had the extra risk. And as you look down the wall, the boulders are definitely that. This is a super cool feature. We've got a 3D look at the boulder.
Women's number 1, starting on the slab like their semifinals round. You start over here and have to work your way through these volumes to the other volume, kind of pressy, footwork intensive. Have to come into that small crimp to get up into the zone. And then there's a couple things you can do here. You can go with your hand down to the wall first and then bring your foot over to the egg, or go up higher, go to the egg first, and then the top you're going to likely press into it. If you want to try to pinch it, you could. It's a little slopey, but you never know.
Yeah. So a bit of a changing angle. So that is probably the steepest of the 3 slab angles on this wall, and then that blue triangle tips in and down. So just that preview, that 3D look, remember that when you're looking back at this wall, that blue side sort of pushes in and tips back a little bit. Changing angles allows for a lot worse holds. In this situation, you can press, it creates opposition in that very wide book. It's an open book, but it's an almost flat book. And we're gonna get things started with Futaba Ito,
who, by the way, had so many buzzer beaters in the qualifiers and the semifinals. So exciting to watch. She tries hard till the end, and the final round is the round where you really can try hard till the end, because there's no more rounds after this. This is where you leave everything on the table, so I'm excited to watch her here tonight.
Really cool. So 62, that's total. We'll talk probably mostly about Boulder events, but she's at 62 World Cup appearances in her relatively young career.
Yeah. She's really good on her feet, really comfortable with committing to moves. Oh, a little slip there.
Yeah. Just trying to get that friction between the feet and the hands, that palm press. A little
Sometimes
brush, of course.
Newer volumes too can be a little more slippery, and for these events it's really nice to have brand new holds and volumes for the athletes to climb on, but they do kind of need a little bit of breaking in. Obviously the boulders are forehand by the route setters, but still there can be a little bit of slipperiness that's on the holds as well. So
they need to be told that they're climbable, right? The holds need to know that, okay, I'm here to do my job. You can grab.
She set up much nicer now. Oh man, just kind of slipping on there.
Yeah, that really cool shape to those big volumes. They're just that sort of swooping angle.
Kinda like a wave.
Yeah, it doesn't give you a lot of flat surface to press against. And that's ideally
exactly what her coach is saying.
Yeah. Like, you need to do X, Y, and Z.
What is happening?
Coach is in the front row taking notes. The feedback loop in the season is very important. What did you do well? What do you need to work on? Now, Taba just needs to get this right foot.
Oh, this might be a better method, trying to get that left foot over and then get in there. But she does need to kind of get around it if she's going to be able to get some purchase. Now, that screw hole she might be able to use, but it looks like she's going to kind of cup the bottom part of the volume.
She doesn't want to leave the left and doesn't want to commit to that right around the side. A good save, but a lot of energy expended.
Oh, I like where her head was at with that. If she could just get into the press, then she could bring that foot around, which would move her hips to the other side.
Yeah, almost like you want her to see her come across the center line of that volume instead of pulling and reaching really to swing around. But it's a lot to solve. You know, from the mat, you can talk all you want. And as soon as you grab a hold, you know if you got it right when you were standing on the mat. And you don't always get it right. So this is, I mean, just look. It's hard to get a lot of rubber pressing down.
That looks better, though.
That looks better. She's rolled her ankle over as well. Yes. Futaba Ito getting sorted. Still needs to move.
That zone.
Yeah. So that's.
So now she has this chance to.
So that's going to be the zone. So to get the zone in the rules, you need to grab the hold and you need to then show movement. It's not enough to just grab it. You have to move a foot, move a hand, move your center of mass. As they say, make a climbing related move.
To prove that you've really controlled and used the hold itself, not just touching it.
So that's definitely there when she first grabbed it, and then she moved both feet on the volume. So definitely, as you see in the graphic on the bottom left of your screen, that half bar is going to indicate a zone on any boulder problem. So right now, on her 5th try, and that clock, 45 seconds. Again, it's a slow climbing start. I don't know that that's enough time. She's, of course, going to give us one more, at least.
Especially these movements at the beginning of this boulder, not too taxing, and great that she has the zone, but she definitely wants the top, and there's not that many moves after the zone, so there is a possibility. Plus, we know she's really good.
She's very fast.
At getting that buzzer beater
And here she's in attack mode now. Got to get that at least left foot. Yes, Futaba Ito, 2 moves away now.
Gonna go with the palm into the blue part of the wall first.
She's got to sprint. 5, 4,
she can make it happen.
2. She is! She has another buzzer beater to this Salt Lake City weekend. I don't know what to tell you. Futaba Ito, take that, boulder number 1.
And she didn't choose to go to the slopier part on top. Always confident in her movement and serves her well. Great showing from Futaba Ito.
And again, because she rushed, she had no choice. She just had to pick instinct, and right here, I mean, this wasn't the best way, I think. She's on the dual textured part of this hold.
From the first angle, I thought she went to the wall first, but the dual texture, even more risky.
And then she didn't even have it.
No.
She had to
just
reset.
Like, I'm gonna go.
Wow.
And also, just a show of her veteranness, that's not a word, but I'm gonna go with that because that's what came out. But pulling up immediately on that hold, if she kind of stayed elongated, it would only make that slipper worse. So great idea to really pull in and make sure she had control.
And it really kind of makes the judge go, you definitely had control. You weren't swinging underneath, your feet weren't slipping. So that's a smart move. And 1 second to go. It's That's 3 times.
I know.
It's 3 times.
She really takes the cake with the buzzer beater.
Yeah. Not that I'm sure her coach, while thinking that it's
Proud.
exciting, is writing down in his book, do that on the first try.
Exactly.
There is a concept in climbing where, you know, you see a lot of climbers send right near the end of their time. It ends up being last try, best try. But the ideal scenario is to get a boulder right away. A, because attempts matter, and B, because it's the most rest possible. So we want to flip the mentality of the athlete and do that now or never, but turn it into the first try. Because in the back of your mind, I got 4 minutes. If I slip, I can manage.
But you definitely want to get it done first. And Chae-Yun So is doing a great job right now as she works her way through the bottom part of this boulder.
And so even now, look at this. Just casually chalking up.
Yep. I mean, she is a phenomenal lead climber, on the podium so many times, lots of wins. And we have 4 Olympians competing tonight, 3 in the women's field, 1 in the men's field. Very exciting to see them succeeding in the circuit this year as she gets to the zone. Really casually. I mean,
really?
Honestly,
She's just climbing
slab
well.
climbing, she is very confident on her feet, and she has great footwork and a lot of patience, and these are all skills that would help you to succeed on this angle, this lower angle wall.
I mean, I'm just going to say, Megan, you mentioned many. She's got 5 gold medals and 8 podiums out of 9 lead World Cups.
I mean,
so
it's incredible.
Yeah, she's climbing boulders like a lead climber, and this looks good.
Gonna make it happen.
Wow, indeed.
Nicely done.
I pulled up the stats on the lead side. We have all the boulder stuff. Megan, 8 podiums out of 9 World Cups.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a World Cup start like that.
It's incredible. I mean, and when she started, like, she was one of the first women to beat Yanya on a rope in a very long time.
Wow, right here, she came around this corner, even just that, breaking that left wrist as you see to come around, and the amount of pressure that puts on your thumb, and here, just being very, very careful, not a lot in that right foot.
Yeah, honestly. Oh, she was also kind of in the screw hole on her right foot, which was definitely a good idea, just to really make sure it stays in there.
Okay, that is going to bring up Natalia Grossman, used to coming out last, and is coming out in the middle of the field.
Looking very excited to climb in front of a hometown crowd. She does live here in Salt Lake City. Her parents, Norma and Joe, are out in the crowd here tonight, ready to cheer her on all the way from Boulder, Colorado. And let's see what she can do on this first boulder for the women.
Yeah, she's been doing nothing but winning lately.
Yeah, definitely been doing a good job at that. Just progressing so well.
You see, I mean, it's the first boulder they come to after their preview. It's fresh in their mind, and just no hesitation. 1-2 into the heel hook, and I love the way she turned that corner, just twisting the foot around.
Really nice use of the heel hook there to make sure she's getting into the zone nicely.
Lots of twisting, lots of like really, really aligned. Yeah. She's being...
You know, and we were talking a lot during semifinals how quickly she gets on the wall, and that's without seeing the boulder. So no surprise at all that she hopped right on, having already,
that's the other method.
There. Yeah.
And went straight to it.
You can also actually get higher up on the right hold and then throw your foot out, which is very risky in my opinion. I'm interested to see if anyone does it that way. I think a really easy fix here for Natalia just needs to make sure she gets through this bottom section the same way.
You see her just there, an exhale, just a
breathing is
breathing
so important.
moment.
You know, you hear a lot of lead climbers talk about breathing and how important it is to being successful, but it is equally important with bouldering. Obviously, there are moments in bouldering where you don't have the opportunity to breathe, but on an angle like this and in a climb like this, you definitely have to take advantage of those moments.
Super good look at that time, and she's gonna match
again.
It. Yeah, again was.
Looks like she's gonna change her shoes.
She's gonna swap her shoe, just
Maybe
one.
for a little stiffer. Yeah, that right foot needs. Well, actually, let's see. Those are softer. Well, are they? No, I think the white ones are softer. I think that those white ones are supposed to be quite soft from 5'10", so I think she would definitely want a stiffer one, but that might make that move a little more difficult.
So she's, you had mentioned a bit in the semifinal, she looked a little bit maybe
Stressed.
anxious, a little
Yes.
stressed. And she's looking at that here as well. Just that slip, how quickly she picked the brush up, but that moment there, take a breath.
Yep.
Remember what you're capable of.
That was the key moment there that she needed to do to hopefully figure out this boulder. But yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like I heard Janja talk about this a lot. When you're just winning, doing so well, not falling so much, you get so used to that. So then when it starts to happen, it's hard not to get a bit flustered. So you kind of have to take a step back and remember that you need to center yourself and focus on the climbing and not worry about the pressure that might be around you.
And falling on boulders shakes you when you're not used to falling on boulders. And they're
Yeah,
a little more careful on the
good.
swap.
Nicely done.
And then just, oh man.
Needs to bring the foot up, both feet up a little bit more. Looks like she's in a good position. Should
really
be
good
able to
hip
get up
mobility.
there.
Carefully now.
Nicely done.
Even there, she
Sigh of
closed her
relief.
eyes.
Great climbing from Natalia Grossman.
Okay, she won't be happy with 5 attempts, but she'll be happy with the top. And you see that's Josh Larson and Meg Coyne, coaches of the American team, looking on with great interest.
Honestly, like not making any facial expressions whatsoever.
They're not giving it away.
They look a little serious, but obviously it's a serious day. Another recap of her inching her way up into the right body position. Really good flexibility there and trust in her feet in order to get to that top and start the round off with a top that, you know, is definitely needed because she knows that the other two women, or doesn't know for sure, but likely can infer that the other two women before her have tops.
I love that she closed her eyes and recentered. Okay, you got that. I can almost hear that in my own mind. You got this.
Yeah.
You belong. Okay, we've been here before.
Exactly.
Time to dial it back up. Miho Nanaka, 25 years old, and is a veteran at 25.
Oh, yes.
45 Boulder World Cups, Megan.
Yes.
45.
And
how
a
many
silver medal
medals?
at the Olympics.
Yeah, and a silver medal at the Olympics.
I mean.
And she's got 10 silver medals out of her 21 podiums, and if it wasn't for Janja, she would have double that, I suspect.
That's a really good point. And those medals are heavy. I held one earlier. They would definitely add some serious weight to your luggage when you're flying from country to country, so.
I was going to say, it also adds a little metaphorical weight. The more medals you win, the more they weigh on you. Miho having just one little slip. Now, an interesting here, the different, like very subtle foot strategies to turn this first corner. And now she gets that, went with the toe.
She's really good at squeezing with both toes as well. Nicely into the zone. I also find that when I feel like she doesn't panic, especially when she slips off of climbs and specifically slabs. I feel like she does a good job of resetting and just getting back to it. I don't find that she gets so flustered.
And she didn't even use the foothold, the jib. And even that, just that shift in the hips, Miho Nanaka
I feel like she didn't stop
boulder.
moving from the zone. She just kind of continued in one fluid motion all the way to the top. Yeah, that's very beautiful climbing.
It felt like that to me as well. And she just, one hand, one foot, one hand, one foot. It's like when you were a kid and you tried to stem your hallway. That's exactly what this looked like.
Really good. Trust in the feet. You know, people always are wondering how athletes stand on volumes, and it's kind of a counterintuitive thing. The more pressure you apply, the more secure your feet will actually be. It's kind of counterintuitive because you're somewhat scared to push, but that pressure that you apply to the volume makes it easier to actually stand on them.
Yeah, it's something to take into the gym next time you go in is when you're unsure and you're traversing a volume, just lean into it.
Yeah, exactly.
And drop your heels.
Always drop your heels.
From the coach's mindset, drop your heels. Just write that one down, take it to the bank. Brooke Rabatou.
Another crowd favorite on the podium at both Salt Lake City World Cups last year and then also last weekend with a silver medal. Has had the bronze and the silver and looking for a gold.
The moment on the mats when she didn't realize that she had won a medal and Natalia came over and you could see what she had. They'd had an exchange and Brooke was a bit dejected because she hadn't been climbing super well, and you could see what happened. And she was like, what? Well, those are some of my favorite moments. So that the realization sets in of where you actually finish, because you really don't, as much as we say they talk about it sometimes and you work out what's been happening, you don't know where you stand until the results are posted.
It is really hard. Interesting the way she just did that. Brooke does a really good job of finding beta that feels right to her. I noticed, especially last weekend in the World Cup, she was the only one to do the jump on one of, I think it was one of the final boulders. It was the one she timed out on. She did the jump very different from everyone else. She's really confident in the moves that feel right to her versus trying to force something, and I think that that is something a lot of the athletes do. And again,
that's
right
one of
here,
those things.
This was the other option, but we haven't seen anyone do it yet. But there goes Brooke Rabbitoo at the top in a flash of women's #1.
Good job from Brooke. As you say, didn't waver, made decisions, and stayed with them.
So her and Chaeyoung are tied at this moment. Another look at that high step and press.
Foot.
And, you know, she, I believe, is the shortest competitor in the final at 5'2". Her and Chaeyoung, I think, are maybe the closest in height. So
but
it's
she's
not
also
surprising that she does things a little differently.
Exactly. She also gets on top of the curve. So where, I mean, she was probably an entire foot's width, or foot's length higher up than some of the other climbers, but allowed her to almost rock into it instead of just push against it. So interesting that she chose to do it that way, but got her right onto the best part of that hold. And that's going to bring out our last climber of the first boulder. It goes quite quickly sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
And that's Ayala Karim from Israel in her first World Cup final, and she didn't show nerves in the semi. And we'll see if she can keep that composure going into this final. Just 20 years old.
Nicely into this second volume, where we've seen the women do this part of the boulder a little different each time. It's looking very similar to what Miho Nanaka did. Oh, able to reach over without flipping. She, watching her climb, it looks like she does have a really nice wingspan. Just, you know, looking at, I don't actually know for sure, but having done that move that way, I would guess that that's probably the case. Nicely into the zone. You know, she struggled a little bit earlier with the first slab boulder in the semifinal, but this one is looking like it suits her a bit more than that one did.
And she's just, again, making the decisions that she had previewed. It doesn't look like she's changing her mind. She doesn't look confused at any point.
Very confident.
Although this, I don't know.
A lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, tough to apply pressure at the splits. So
might go the same way Brooke did.
Yeah, and just that, keep an eye on that left hand, pressing on the dual textured, and she is going to get a flash.
I mean, that has to feel amazing coming out for your first World Cup final, and you flash the very first boulder. A look at her coach, Alex Kazanov. You most likely will recognize him, been on the circuit for many years in semis and finals. One of the most decorated Israeli athletes, and not just also competing. He didn't compete this weekend because he kind of tweaked his knee last weekend, but he's not only competing, but also coaching. And, you know, helping the younger generation. Super admirable way to give back to the community. Really nicely and confidently into that top hold.
Just inching her way up. And the dual textured, you mentioned in the semifinals, if you weren't watching the semifinals, the duals, there he goes. Woo, my heart, my relief.
You know, it is actually way harder to watch people climb than to climb yourself. The stress levels, I think, are always way more intense when you're watching people that you care about their results and about them having a good competition. It's just so stressful.
Yeah, and so after the first boulder, right now, 3 flashes. And right after that, Miho with 2 attempts, Natalia with 4, and Futaba with 6. So
nicely separated after the first 3.
And I don't imagine that, I mean, we got 3 boulders to go, and their attempts are going to get pulled. We're not going to see everybody flashing everything. So I don't know that Futaba needs to be worried about her 6 swings at boulder 1, given that it's about to get tricky, and we'll get a look at boulder number 2.
And this boulder, very different on a steeper angle. You have that start, that's an undercling, and you're gonna kind of put your left foot on. I sense some women will try to toe hook, but you don't really need it as you jump to the next hold. Kind of get into a shouldery motion. There's a knee bar involved, and you want to press into the zone, and then actually you can face out to the crowd to get into the press at the top, and then turn it back around to grab the hold on top. So we'll see what the women end up doing.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see how they approach this. And it should be noted that the top hold is actually the hold attached to the press volume. So they need to get their hand on that hold in order to get the top, because the tape is going all the way to it.
That's what the judges will be looking for control of that finish hold. You don't need to do anything for any length of time. You just need to show the judge that you have one hand and then you are securing control of the finish hold. Really good stick
right hand,
from
really
Futaba
nice.
Ito.
Right into that toe hook and bicycle. So much shoulders. She can just get pressed into this zone hold. Doesn't even need the knee bar.
No.
We'll see if she turns around or if she stays facing the wall.
Left foot is not great.
Ooh,
A little alpine knee I thought we were going to see there.
Ooh. And so this is why it's easier to turn around. Look at her face being smushed against that wall right there. So if she turns around, she won't have to, she can have her back to the wall. So there's more space for her, but she can definitely do it this way. It's just a little bit harder, maybe a little more uncomfortable, but she's gonna stick with it.
She's gonna press into the lower side of this volume, and a little hop required. Futaba Ito electrifies the crowd with a flash of boulder number 2.
Really nicely executed. I'm sure her coach is relieved after watching her wind down the clock on number 1 to come out and just
do the opposite.
Absolutely crush that boulder. And she was in some very uncomfortable positions here, just like really pressed against the wall. That drop knee,
oh my goodness,
like shoulder into the wall.
Just trying to make that space work for her.
And she made it happen, committed to it. I mean, so much of being successful in these competitions is just pure commitment.
Yeah, desire.
Even if things don't seem right, even jumping to that finish hold, right? It kind of looked like she could fly off, and if she second-guessed herself, she probably would have, but she 100% believed, I can jump to that hold, I can hang on to that hold, and that's what she did.
I almost can't believe that left foot stab at the top stayed on as well.
Yeah, exactly.
She picked that up and put it down very heavily on a 30-degree angle on a 20-degree angle volume. It's not a great, yeah, as long as I am watching and talking about World Cup climbing, every single event I'm going to say, I can't believe that happened. And this weekend it's happened a dozen times already. So we have to remember how focused, how well trained the climbers are, and things that you might at home think, oh, okay, you just have to do that. You need to really understand how difficult some of these movements are just because they're making them stick.
So nicely into that first hold. It's kind of spanny, but not too spanny, but you really have to commit to it. Gonna go feet first here.
Interesting.
Maybe a little bit of the lead climber in her.
Very much so, I think, a little bit of lead climber. She's just gonna get a near no hands, like just using her hands.
Has to be careful here, seeing she's pushing on that right edge because the Entreprise logo is actually slippery, so she really has to be mindful so that she doesn't accidentally slip.
Only stand on the edges, and even that position.
I see her maybe doing the face out method here, just because she finds body positions really well. She might not, but there is a chance. Looking like less of a chance now. Oh, yeah. Nope, here it comes. She's gonna probably, she might not have to turn all the way around. So hard to tell.
Maybe that same half a drop knee.
I think she's gonna keep turning. We'll see. Always so calm though.
Yeah, hasn't shown that moment of fear or rushed anything at any point. I don't know that rush is in her vocabulary.
Just by her fingertips, trying to press in. Look at that heel, that left heel drops so low. That ankle flexibility that she needs in order to really press into the volume and have her foot stay on that foot volume.
And a little hop required, but probably not much. Good swing control. Jae-Yoon Sao. Flashing boulder number 2. Very good job.
So 2 flashes for her so far. Has to be feeling great. Also in her first bouldering final. No stranger to finals in World Cups, just first one for bouldering. Another look at how hard she had to stand up into this just with 3 fingers there, pressing, using every inch of her arm wingspan in order to get into that more stable position to set up to go to that final hold. Beautifully done. And again, just dropping to the mats like it's nothing, even though it's so high off the ground.
Dropping 18 feet to the ground, no problem. Okay, Natalia Grossman out with her towel. Keep your shoes clean.
You know, it's so smart to bring the towels out. The front of the pads have a little bit of carpet so you can kind of brush your feet off, but over the years they've definitely, you know, retained a bit more chalk, so having the towel to kind of wipe your shoes off is really nice as Natalia jumps right into the women's #2 boulder.
Oh, and jumps into the press.
Yeah, little dynamic there.
She's gonna get that same
She is really comfortable
in
pressy positions. You see as she just quickly extends herself all the way up into them without a second guess.
Just being very measured here, making sure that she's comfortable. Yeah, and comfortable is not really the right word for this move.
As comfortable as one can be. Ooh, it looked like she was about to maybe try to hop up into it for a second. Might readjust her feet a bit more. There we go.
No,
drop knee after drop
double
knee.
drop knees. But even, yeah, she doesn't look like she's made a decision even to stand up out of this. And I mean, you know that right side of this wall is getting in your way. It's pushing you out from the wall. It's angled. So you know that it's very precarious just until you have real purchase. And again, 3 fingers, but managing to come through.
Trying to inch her way to the top hold so she doesn't have to jump too much. Able to kind of static with the one hand and just come right in with the right hand. Almost said left, that wouldn't have made sense. Looked a little more confident on that boulder. Wasn't second guessing herself so much. Really executed well. That's the Natalia we're used to seeing.
Yes, exactly. That's Natalia doing what she does.
Great.
Really took her time, didn't decide, didn't make do. Decided that she had picked a body position that was going to get her where she wanted to go. And that slow drive to 2 fingers on the underside of that volume, and at, you know, from fingertip to tiptoe, and then as you said, minimize this hop as much as possible.
She does strategically climb really well in that way by trying, if there's a moment where you can not have to do as much, she generally finds those moments just to conserve.
Yes. Miho Nanaka now into the middle of the field. Just give a quick refresh. Yep, I remember boulder #2.
She's like a little more powerful than the first one. Sounds great to me.
Yep, let's do it. Let me flex my arms here. Going left hand and a toe hook. And I had seen the root setters talking about that method.
She's got a heel there underneath nicely.
Just being maybe more careful.
It's nice to see her out here too without any shoulder tape or leg tape. I feel like for a lot of years she had a lot of KT tape from some injuries she was managing. So she has a little bit on her wrist, but not so bad considering some other times. So it's nice to see her in a healthier state.
I think she spent a whole season fighting a shoulder
Quite injured,
twing.
yeah. And shoulders are so hard, especially with what you see the athletes thrown with these boulders being so pressy and shouldery a lot of times.
Yeah, Sean McCall unfortunately separated his shoulder in the qualifiers yesterday, and not on a dynamic move, but in a twist. So reaching over his head and twisting, and it popped. So not even a fall or a stomp down onto something. Miho Nanaka being very careful, taking almost a minute to get up this entirety of this boulder.
Trying to inch over a little bit more, just like we saw Natalia do.
Wow, just
holding on with the right hand for the last moment.
Well, why not? Making absolutely sure.
Really nice climbing.
So that's looking like a must flash to stay in the running. Definitely
lots of pressure.
Yeah, definitely a way to ratchet up the pressure is the...
It is definitely harder to know because the women are taking still like a couple minutes. You could think there might be a fall in there. You won't really know because of the time that it's taking them to finish the boulder. But if you're not feeling the pressure to flash, you're definitely feeling the pressure to top.
Yeah, and you won't know if maybe that first move is slightly harder than you read it, and people are taking a few tries, maybe slipping off the shoulder press. A little yell from Miho at the top of that boulder.
Only 2 more climbers to go. I can't believe we're already here on the second boulder. We're almost halfway through the round.
With Rabbit 2 having a look at the clock, waiting for that 4 minutes to start ticking over.
Interested to see if she decides to go face out.
Yeah, we kind of want to see it.
I mean, I do want to see it. I think the crowd really likes it too. I think it's fun for the crowd to see the athletes face them. But we've definitely seen that that's not necessary. She's going with the left hand as well. Gonna just toe into that undercling and straight into the shoulder. Again, really comfortable pressing. And so pressing, mantling for shorter climbers, you generally feel a bit more comfortable in those movements. Taking a second to just brush her braid out of the way.
Yeah, when you have slightly shorter levers, it can be easier to get through those full press movements. And ooh, that made me a little nervous, yeah. Just standing up a little
climbing this really quick, actually, a little faster than some of the other athletes.
And you saw, I love that wind up, that left hand pulled back. You knew that was going to be the hop.
Nicely done by Brooke Rabbit too. Man, these women are so talented, just demolishing these boulders. They also look really fun, I have to say.
Yeah, I love the first move on this boulder, and then through that shoulder position. I'm a big fan of that.
I do like that you can see there is a level of discomfort in the middle section when you're trying to figure out how to get past the zone hold. It's not so uncomfortable that we have to like wince in pain watching, but it's a moment where you kind of question, will they figure it out? Will they not figure it out? Do they trust themselves? What's going on? So you're kind of having that moment, second guessing it. And it adds to the drama.
Like we needed to add to the drama, but it has added to the drama. Ayala Karim.
Ready to get on boulder number 2. After a great start to her first final. I hope you all don't get sick of us saying that.
We're going to say it a bunch of times.
To make a final in a World Cup is an amazing feat.
It's so difficult.
Such a small percentage of people do. And oftentimes the ones who do continue to do it. So it makes it hard to get in there. It's almost like trying to get into this exclusive club or something.
It's exactly an exclusive club of people who are not just indifferent, but actively trying to keep you out.
Moving quickly through this boulder as well. That is one thing I have noticed with her climbing is she definitely doesn't waste a lot of time generally. Chooses to do a movement and then
stick
moves
with it.
on.
Yeah, sort of making quick decisions, make a decision, make it quickly, and then learn from it if it doesn't work, but definitely don't spend too much time humming and hawing, and you burn your power out, and then you don't really know if you've slipped that you've really felt what the next move will feel like. So making quick decisions, a good look at all that's required to hold, not hopefully to hold this tension. She does need to do a little more with that right. Got to extend the right leg.
And just trying to make room for that left leg to kind of get in there. I think this is a good moment to kind of reassess. Oh my gosh, Alex looks so stressed.
Yeah.
And Dan, I can see behind him.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
She still has plenty of time. Not the end of the world, but that position she was in, pressing and being so stretched out there, she was using a lot of tricep, a lot of finger strength, a lot of lower back strength and core. So that will have been a strenuous move that she was in for quite some time.
Yeah.
So she should definitely take at least 30 seconds to recover. Maybe even a minute. I think because she climbs quite quickly, she could even just wait down the clock to a minute.
Maybe a minute 20. A minute makes me nervous every time. What if you slip it? A minute makes me nervous. It happens all the time.
It does.
They watch the clock, it hits 1 minute, like, I guess I'll go climb a boulder.
It definitely does. But it also keeps you from, you know, kind of doing too many attempts as well. Like, you're gonna gain more recovery, but also you're not gonna give away any attempts. So
a huge part of strategy and something that coaches talk to athletes and athletes work on all the time is how you cut your time. So first minute, second minute, third minute, fourth minute, and what you do in those moments, and then essentially the flow, the decision matrix of what happened, therefore, what happened, therefore. And one of these, something that she will have talked about on a boulder like this, when you've expended this much energy and you think it's going to take you this much time to climb, this is how long you should rest.
Yep.
Get on in your last minute. If you make an early mistake, you'll have time to recover. All of that is running through your mind while you're deciding if you need to change your beta at the top of this World Cup final boulder problem.
And not
Ayala
only
Karim getting up quickly to this spot.
And not only if you should change your beta, but also remembering how you got there in the first place.
What did I do? And in a move where you've gone left, right, 3 or 4 times, it can be difficult to remember which way you turned to make it work. And she's turned a little bit the other way. You see her reaching with her left hand this time.
And she's in a much better position. Last time she couldn't get her left foot on, and that was really the big crux from keeping her to get into this press.
Look
It's
at that
still in a
left toe.
precarious spot, but I think she can
She's
make it
gotta hop it over.
Oh, she's gonna go early.
Oh boy!
Couldn't make it happen.
Didn't move the left foot, couldn't,
Woo!
I suspect.
Risky.
And jumped through.
But and that is what makes a good World Cup, a good successful World Cup athlete. She wasn't in the best stance to go for the top, but she chose to risk it anyway, because if you don't, how are you going to have a shot at actually getting to the top? And I think
not the best.
sometimes athletes can't find that moment to just go for things, and so this is a good sign of what we might see to come from her in the future.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's not getting any better.
Yeah, exactly.
The clock is ticking, and I need to make a decision, and it's all or nothing, and she made all or nothing work. So still very tight at the top of the leaderboard. Brooke and Cheyenne Sao with 2 tops and 2 flashes. Ayala there with that 1 slip, and Miho as well. Natalia right on her heels, and Futaba Ito just behind. So this sets up a spicy 3rd and 4th boulder. Megan, there is only 4. So 2 down, 2 to go, and mistakes are going to get very, very costly. Okay, gonna run over and talk to Roman Cabusset. He's the chief route setter, and we're gonna see what he thinks about this final to this point. And what's coming up next?
You are the chief route setter of the event, and we are now halfway through the women's final. Can you tell me a little bit about boulders 3 and 4 for the women?
For boulder number 3, it's kind of coordination. I would say a sensitive coordination. They have to run and stop on 2 big volumes, which is quite physical at least. So there is just 1 step, I would say, in this boulder, but I think it's kind of tricky, kind of random. So yeah, we can expect, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 tops.
And for women's number 4?
Women's number 4, it's completely different. It's all about crimps and physical skills. So it's a quite long boulder, a lot of moves. And I think, yeah, the hard part is the top part. So there we play in the upper part.
Awesome, can't wait to watch the rest of the women's round.
So Romain, a little bit of information about what's gonna come up for boulders 3 and 4. So a little bit of coordination, and then some very serious crimps to come.
And
a look on the wall here.
About coordination, I feel like, you know, the boulders they've had so far have been a little more easily maneuvered through in a safer way. When coordination happens, it's all out. There's no way to be safe. So that's where you see a lot of attempts being put up on the board. I mean, sometimes not. If you read it perfectly, if you hit everything perfectly, you could possibly flash. But if you don't, sometimes it takes you longer to learn the moves. And here's a look at that coordination boulder, which is a run across, and then you're going to catch those 2 pink egg boulders in some orientation. There's many different ways you could do it. And the move to the zone isn't really much of a move. You're just kind of standing and jumping up into it, making sure you avoid going past that black tape. You can't use the arete at all. And then you just kind of set up. So it's likely every woman will get to the zone on their first attempt. So it really comes down to how well can you get through these coordination moves in the least amount of tries.
Story of the day, really.
Yeah, that's very true.
How do you get through the moves in the least number of tries? But exactly spot on. When it is a coordination style movement, the learn movement, you need to get dialed in very quickly. There's a lot of subtleties in foot placement. One of the things that I think people might overlook is that you are trying to think of a lot at the same time. So it's not just, oh, I'm running across this boulder. Where are my hands going to go while looking at my feet? The peripheral vision comes into play. You're going to see what Futaba Ito can put down. As you suggested, just going to get established on this zone and just going to wind up for this shuffle jump press.
And so that's a great example of one of the ways you could end on those 2 egg holds. You could also go right hand above to press. You could try to, jump and foot stab. There's so many things you could do. And
hop and bear hug, perhaps. We should name
Hop
all
and
of the
bear
different
hug.
tries. I like hop
The
and bear hug.
hop to bear hug.
Hop to bear hug.
I could find that one being brutal on the shins. But like you were saying, you're focusing on so much. You see how she had to hop her feet and then focus on her hands. When you're hopping your feet, you can't be focusing on your hands ahead of time because you could fully miss a foot. So it's like momentum, hip placement, timing, feet, hands.
And
it's
then
so much.
stop your momentum.
Yeah, tight. And there she does
Futaba
it.
Ito does a great job on her second try. And I think once you're here, the top is not going to challenge anybody. It's going to be the movement across the coordination. Futaba Ito getting that done in just 2.
Now, earlier in the semifinal, there was a coordination boulder, women's number 2. Started with a jump, and then there was an option to do a coordination move at the top, which we saw Chaeyeon actually kind of static, and some of the other athletes as well. So that makes me curious to see what she does on this boulder, because this is very much forced dynamic coordination movement.
This might be her anti-style, as we say, if she has one. Not everybody has an anti-style, or it's a very subtle line to be drawn. Really good adjustments from Futaba, just getting a little bit farther over, I think, on the second hop and not reaching so much.
Yep.
Really just getting
So
right
she
into
could
the
catch
swing.
it into a shoulder.
Right. Chaeyeon, what will she do in her slow climbing style? Brushing the footholds, of course.
Got to get the shoe rubber off those footholds, that's for sure. I kind of forgot that we were right by this boulder, and I remembered I could kind of look up. Just undershoots that zone hold. So that's actually pretty big, because it's likely that a lot of the women get to the zone first. I also wonder if anyone would try to go out right to the feet and then kind of work their way up. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I got here earlier, the zone hold hadn't been put up yet. And so I thought,
That's what I thought I would do, yeah.
I didn't know it was a run across because they hadn't put the hold up, and I thought you're supposed to kind of campus through the bottom and like press up.
Weird, tricky, thanks guys. And then wait a minute, no.
And they're like, no, there's another hold.
What you're seeing here is a factor of the change in angle. So if you think back to the preview we showed you, and then look at that break in the wall, the seam, the angle changes from probably 20 degrees overhanging to about 10 degrees slab. And it can be really hard to manipulate. You have to pull and jump while also kind of going up and forward,
nice.
and there she gets it locked in. But the first of those misses, you often undershoot a dead point when you have to change angles like that. And she's gonna maybe go a slow tip. I love a slow tip.
Yeah, it's possible.
And we'll see if she can put
I
it
think
together.
she's coming back. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh.
This is exciting in a different kind of way.
Yeah. Again, important to stick to what you feel comfortable doing. Obviously, you have to get out of your comfort zone and learn new skills all the time, but there is room to apply your skills to boulder problems in a way that might have not been foreseen from the setters.
Yeah, you can only predict so many variations of people's approach to climbing. And it is.
She's gonna go for it a little faster. Not enough momentum. I think the little press, if she's gonna try to stand and kind of walk across, will work. But if she doesn't, she's gonna definitely need to wind up a little bit more with momentum in order to get over to that last egg as she'll fall into the other eggs.
A huge commitment factor.
All the eggs.
They're all the eggs. A huge commitment factor when you, something we'll speak about because it's a fairly common piece of the bouldering puzzle, is that it's hard to leave a hold that's secure to go out into the insecure. And you can see people under push a little bit, and the commitment is a way to play with, you see a slip there from Seoul as she chooses not to commit to the full push and a hard run. And now she has to. So much better.
But still needs a little bit more momentum to get over.
So that's unlocked, or should have unlocked to her, saying, okay, I need to a little more run, a little more jump.
And I mean, I think a big part of it is she might want to swing with her leg first in order to get over, and even possibly throw two hands on the zone to add more momentum. There's a lot of different things she could do, and it all depends on what exactly her body needs her to do to get the right momentum, because the momentum level is going to be different for everybody, right? Everybody and every body.
Everybody's body.
Because everyone is built differently. Everybody has different levels of strength in the legs, fast twitch muscles, all of that. So it's never going to be exactly the same.
And full effort, of course, 4 minutes worth of trying. I'm not sure I would have predicted that she wasn't going to solve the first move, and just looked like she didn't have enough spring at the end. And here's her best attempt, but was, I mean, a long way away, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to be kind of throwing yourself into those other two eggs, especially if you're going to go upper left, lower right. I think her speed could have maybe worked if she went right hand above first and then palmed into the other one. Just because the right one is closer. But since, the left one is closer, but since the right one's farther away, she really just didn't have the right momentum.
No, and I love that look from this side looking in, because it shows you what is actually involved in sticking those two. And you see Natalia with just a little hop.
Throwing the feet up right away.
Yeah, this shows you that you have to get quite far. And a little hesitation.
But
dude, I hate that.
I know.
I'm looking at my feet going, I have to look up at some point where my hands are, I'm going to smash my face, and I would do exactly what Natalia's doing and trip.
It was like a little toe stub almost. But see, coming back and swinging with that leg back, although a little too much, that time she went too far with the right foot and hit the slippery side of that egg hold. It was on the slippery side of the dual textured hold, so it threw her momentum off again. She's going to try to go a little more static now.
Yeah, maybe
look at that.
Just needs to get a push. Natalia, she's just trying to get it from somewhere.
So close.
And she nodded. She's nodding. I think she thinks that's the way.
I mean, she has plenty of time, so she could try this method a couple more times even, and then maybe switch to something else if it doesn't work. But it does seem like it's something that she can make happen.
And more secure in the feet. You saw her really trip and stumble the first two times. So getting that right foot a little farther over to maybe help propel.
I can't stop leaning in
I know,
my
we're
chair.
both. Megan is leaning like 45 degrees. I'm leaning about 20. We're following Natalia. And what is this?
And into a screw hole, which is always in play. The screw holes on the volumes are in play.
Can she unwind? I think she can. Natalia Grossman is going to go slow and steady. My goodness.
Nicely done by Natalia Grossman. Wow, that was really cool. It's kind of that moment of just weightlessness when you're kind of floating in that, you get to that vertical position and then you just have to kind of keep teetering over. It's always cool to see on a slab.
Yeah, it's a really fun way to approach
That was a
kind of
lot on the
movement.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right here, she just slowly releases and then uses her leg muscles. So she's like squeezing with her legs and also keeping her hips as close to the wall and goes straight into that screw hole and then can get into this press with no problem.
I think Natalia, more than anyone, looks for those cracks in the armor. So I don't even know that that's a screw hole, Megan. I think that that's just a space on the where the volume is attached to the
I see
valve.
that space that you might be talking about now.
It doesn't look like it lines up with anything on the hold itself. So she just hunts things like people talked about having to change the the bolt hole rule. Is no, you can't step in a bolt hole because she's done that so many times. She is.
But then they changed it back.
Yeah.
But fun
they talked
fact,
about it.
Most of these walls don't have T-nut holes, like the one they're on now, no T-nut holes, so it's not a problem.
Yeah. Miho Nanaka.
Now I would be shocked if she ever tried this slow. This is a move she would try to go fast and almost able to flash that move.
And you just have to, there's almost the three bears approach where you go not quite far enough, and then maybe too far, and then just right. So they're hunting for the momentum, the bright spot in the momentum, and that was not quite far enough. And then we'll see if she can go to just right.
She's really good at fine-tuning those subtle issues on coordination moves. She does it probably better than anybody else at those quick fixes.
Yeah, went just sort of, I think the first time maybe just tested the foot placement and then absolutely no mistake.
Really made sure she was able to wrap the top of that egg because it would pull her in and then press as much as she could on the bottom one. Just nicely to the top. Hardly any energy spent.
It's like, is that what I need? Got it.
She was like, that was fun. What's next?
What's next?
Oh wait, she knows what's next. She had a preview.
We're just waiting on Brooke Rabitou.
Coming quickly through the curtain. Just waiting for her 4-minute clock to start. Lots of cheering from the hometown crowd. Salt Lake City, super psyched for all the USA athletes. Brooke's another athlete who generally is quite good at coordination, very dynamic. She is the smallest competitor in the competition tonight, so she's had to be forced to be dynamic for basically her whole life.
Her whole life.
I mean, it's true. It's a good skill if you have to start doing it young. She's gonna try to set up. It was nice. She did a little test to see if she wanted to kind of go static, but decided dynamic.
Not to.
Tried to go with that foot cross through, which we haven't seen any of the women try yet. Could work.
A little more intricate.
But it does push your hips out because you're crossing through, so that left hip gets thrown into the wall, which pushes you out and makes your trajectory a little bit weird.
She's there. You see the intent look, lining the feet up.
Actually, this is a big boulder for her because her and Cheon were tied up until now, and since Cheon did not top this boulder.
Is she going to swap to a static method? No, testing it, but still
not choosing to bring the leg out, which is interesting. Almost able to make it happen. Kind of hit the left hand a little low, and it threw her hips open and kind of propelled her off the wall. Yeah.
Whereas
her
you saw
leg
Miho
literally
get quite
looked
high.
like a propeller for a second.
Yeah, as it swung around, and you saw Miho got quite high and didn't have that same swing.
Oh, quick adjustment there. Didn't look like she wanted to do that, but then she thought, I'm falling. Let me see if I can
what
catch
else
myself.
I can do. And just about caught it.
It has just gotten a little bit colder here.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm shivering.
Something changed, and in the last boulder of the temperature dropped out here. We're under a big tent, which is keeping some heat in. The athletes don't mind the temperature drop, but we'll let you know that it's only a handful of degrees here in Salt Lake City as the sun continues to dip below the horizon. Brooke Rabitou does go.
Nice job. Absolutely nails it. You could see the grit. Actually, maybe you guys couldn't. I think we didn't have that camera angle, but we could watch her try so hard to hold on, and it was worth it. That is what she needed in order to keep the podium in mind. Just behind Miho now on attempts, so
It's
in a great
spicy.
place going into that fourth boulder. I mean, you said it earlier that you thought these boulders looked a lot like ones Miho would like, and thus far it has been that. So
What a great, I really, really liked that Brooke there ended up going to the method that she used that almost saved her on the attempt before that.
Yep.
So she thought, you know what, that almost worked. I'm gonna try this the first time.
yeah, exactly. It's like her body was being thrown that way anyway. She might as well just lean into it. Oh, looks like the rain is starting to come down a bit, but it's not stopping the crowd from being psyched to watch these women climb as Ayala steps out for women's number 4. I mean, wow, 3, my bad.
It's okay. I wasn't even gonna say anything. I'm either gonna let it slide or I'm gonna let you handle it.
I'm jumping ahead.
You handled it. So quickly into the first move, of course. And Ayala Karim.
Looks like she's gonna test out.
Yeah.
It's nice because the foot's so good, you can kind of start to feel, could I do this static? Without having to fully commit first. And since it's likely coordination, because that zone holds so good, you can bail from the static position easier.
And come back, yeah.
So then you can try both methods in one attempt. So you're able to, lessen your attempts, and that's what she's gonna do here. She's probably gonna now try to make it a little more dynamic. Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I think it'd be hard to generate.
As experienced as these climbers are, it can be hard to judge true distance from the mat. So when you're actually holding the zone hold and you feel the body position and how it affects your start, you think she did try and do the step through, and as you had suggested, the hips came way too far out. So you get up on there and you think, oh, I'm just gonna do this, lean across method, and then you're like, wait a minute, it's actually quite a bit farther than I thought it was gonna be. And you could see the wheels turning. What do I need to do? Because I was hoping I'd be able to do this slow and steady there. Just that, as soon as you step.
Well, and there are a lot of times in these competitions where when you have 2 holds like that, a step through actually is the way. But usually the angle is a little bit of a lower angle than what we have right here. So I think it's not the method for this boulder, but it's smart to try it because it's one they've seen so many times, and they're just going back to their experience at previous competitions and applying what they've learned, which is, the best sign of progress.
Spoken like a good coach. And you saw she did the left, right. So she sort of shuffle match, which feels safe, but it slows down your momentum quite significantly. So there again.
So close, not getting enough momentum still.
And you have to think so much about that shuffle match step as opposed to the 1-2 step, that it takes away some of your mindset about how you're generating and what your hands are doing. So I would love it to work out because you can only try so many different methods before you start to think that you need to do something you're familiar with rather than something new. So she's staying with it and getting closer.
Way closer that time. She still has quite a bit of time, and we've seen that the rest of this boulder can be done very quickly. So you could really run the clock down probably to about 10 or 15 seconds and have enough time to do the boulder. So
yeah, there'd be a
lot of opportunity.
A tendency to not hang out on the zone for too long each time now that you've solved it. So just grab the zone and make a decision and go. Can Ayala Karim get through? She's looked like she was going to drop to what I will call the Brooke method. 2 hands down low. And it was, again, she got closer. So every attempt inching closer. It's going to be a question of attempts to clock at this point. Can she get it solved before those zeros show up?
Oh, just a little bit too far out.
Slow. 30 seconds. You can hear the crowd shouting for her.
3 more tries at the max.
Oh, that looked good.
It did look good, except for that shuffle step. Kind of had a pause to it, and it kind of jolted her momentum that she had started.
Oh, she's gonna walk off. Okay.
A little surprising, but then again, they know that their final boulder is on an overhang, so maybe not the worst move, because though it's not super strenuous, there's a cardio element to trying this boulder over and over again, and it can catch up to you. You're like, oh, I feel great, and then all of a sudden you feel very winded and very tired, and you have the longest, most powerful boulder left to do. So,
and even
smart
slap
move.
boulders can put you out of breath.
Oh, yeah.
So, in a thin final, Miho Nanaka sits at the top of the field, 1 attempt ahead of Brooke Rabatu, who is 3 ahead of Natalia and Futaba, with Sheyun and Ayala just behind, but a top away at this point seems like an insurmountable task. So this is
very close here.
Every World Cup is different, Megan, and what we're getting here is a World Cup where on-site climbing and perfection is being shown. So the climber that can get it right quickest is going to come out on top of this World Cup, and I love it. I love every aspect. I'm sorry, we'll have a look at the last boulder. There's a lot going on this boulder.
Yes, very much so. So you're going to start, and you're gonna have to jump into this pocket and face the crowd, spin all the way around to come into that crimp next to them, next to the pocket, and then into the zone, and then you're gonna go right hand and jump into the left hand shoulder, so another shouldery move. And then once you get that crimp underneath the volume, you should be good to get to the top, but you've done a lot of moves.
Yep.
You've kind of been campusing a little bit, lots of tension with the feet.
And mistakes get made.
And you might be tired by the time you get to this boulder. And don't forget, these women climbed 4 boulders in semifinals earlier this morning.
Exactly.
So, and then 5 boulders yesterday. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think I like what's happening here. The men had a semi-rose move, face the crowd, campus in their final last week. And they've put the women on showcase here with a bend your biceps, pull with your shoulders.
Time to flex.
Yeah, flex a little bit for this crowd and show them what you're built of. Futaba Ito staring down this opening move.
Wow, nicely into it. Yeah, so you have to fully come back around. Reading this perfectly. Now this is a boulder that definitely is one that a lot of them will have sequenced well. So now you have to kind of generate to get over to that zone, which is quite powerful, and the feet are not great. You have an option of like slippery dual text holds or that volume. So you're not really liking it. I'm curious to see if anyone will try to match that little crimp and go over. I could see that happening.
Otherwise, you're in a lesser of the evils situation. You saw Futaba looking for what to push with to generate momentum from the right-hand side. I like how she just fully
spun around, by the way, like you have to do on the boulder.
Yeah, you can lose yourself a little bit when you're like, oh, I need to stab down left, and as you come around, you have to remember where you are in space, and that whatever you are hunting for, you can be slightly disoriented. It makes the accuracy hard. This move is going to take its toll, Megan. That first time, often a big, powerful move, you'll see them get it right, and then you'll see a little bit of diminishing returns where you have to remember to dial the power back up.
Yeah, and also I feel like sometimes moves like that, if you do them too soon, you're likely to not stick them because, you know, you think, oh, I stuck it the first time, it was fine. But then if you try the second time, it's not as easy because you're a little more fatigued than you thought you were.
And you see Futaba getting clever with the toes to try and save some energy, but now needing to drop down.
Ooh, trying to flip into the other side of the pocket to maybe elongate her body a bit.
Well, I actually think it's the same pocket from the men's final last week.
I think so.
We saw a couple of Houdini matches in that. And she's, I mean, comfortable enough, but not happy.
Oh, she's going to try to go dynamically.
Love it.
Wow, that was incredible.
Love that.
Very great problem solving on the fly. So she's going to try to stay tight here to just get into this Gaston. But if she has to, she can go right away. Looks like she was a little fatigued. I don't think it was that she couldn't do it, just a little fatigued there. So it'll be smart to take a pretty good rest here now that she knows what's going to work for her to get to the zone. And then just try to execute on her next attempt.
Yeah, and that last look was a great look at the angle that you're dealing with. As you said, she's got to keep her hips in. As soon as you release, you're falling away. And then you see Futaba out of breath. And that's something you had mentioned just at the start of this boulder was it will be fatiguing once you get moving and swinging and really, really going full bore on the power. It seems crazy to be out of breath on a boulder problem, but I have been there. I'm sure you have. It's a thing.
Futaba,
yes.
Into that going back to just the spin around.
The least amount of time spent.
And honestly, going with the feet seemed like a good idea, but it can sometimes, keeping your feet on, be more strenuous than leaving them off.
You just spent so much more time on the hold. 20 seconds, 15. I think Futaba is gonna, with a shake of her head, say, thank you, Salt Lake City. That's all I have in the tank. And what a performance this weekend.
Really great climbing from Futaba Ito of Japan. Nice overhead look of her catching that pocket. I love when you can just let go and spin around on holds like that. It's so much fun. It feels like you're flying a little bit. And you don't really have to engage so much because you have your arms straight. So it's kind of a break from the pulling for a second.
Yes. So definitely taking a few tries there, 3 to get to zone. So of course now sitting at the top of the leaderboard if you have that live scoring app up, but only because she's the first one to get a zone on this boulder. So now we have Chae-Yun Sao, and again, will she take that measured route climbing approach? Maybe that will serve her well if she can just execute each of these steps, pieces of the puzzle. Route climbers tend to break things down a little bit more. This move, this move, this move, no mistakes. So I'm curious to see how she's going to bring that mindset, because she hasn't really shown that she's suddenly going to break out and go, you know, high risk as a boulderer tends to. She's been climbing a lot of things with, I don't want to let go, so I'm going to be measured and careful and step and reach and pull and very static and very, you know, line strong.
I do actually think she's going to like this boulder. This might be the move she likes the least, but if she can do it, I think she has a chance of real success on this boulder problem. Just misses it, has the right idea, and was right in the pocket. Just a little to the left and quite shallow.
Yeah, a lot of adjustments need to be at play. You can just miss a hold like that 10 times in a row and think that you're going to get it next time almost every time. The accuracy side of it is maybe the hardest.
And sometimes moves like that, I mean, obviously it's a competition, so you want to go all out, but they can be a little intimidating for your shoulder. So even though it is a competition, it might be nice to test it a little bit and make sure it's not too crazy, you know?
What's going to happen when I shock load this?
Yeah. But that might just be the old climber in me
Safety
thinking
first.
about my shoulders and making sure I don't rip them out.
Yeah. Don't drop from the top. Match before you celebrate.
Nothing that she
Think
needs
about
to
your
worry
shoulders.
about, as she is only 18 years old.
Yeah, it's a different set of concerns. Chae-Yun Sao.
There she goes.
Here we go. Gets it right. 3rd time's the charm. And
Committing to the spin around.
the dangle.
Almost tried to go the other way, but then realized for her wrist that would not
would
be
not work.
ideal. So let's see what she does here.
Just wrapping that
Nice look
crimp
at that
up.
crimp. It's got a little edge on it and some it is a dual textured hold with some of the slippery texture around. Gonna try to use her flexibility here and her very good footwork to stand on the
look at that right hand. She's swapping it to get a press.
Elongate her body. Very beautiful.
Oh,
and
my
see,
goodness,
this is why I
Megan.
was thinking this was a boulder that she would like, because there's just, when you have volumes and you have holds, there's all these opportunities to create body positions that maybe, you know, were never tried by route setters, because it gives you the ability to be as creative and express yourself in whatever feels natural to your body position, and she's really good at doing that.
I don't think I would have thought of flipping the pocket to gain that distance and angle. It entirely changes the angle of a wrist.
I do think that because pockets have been used and you generally have to move your hands around in them in different positions a lot, it is a little more intuitive when you're doing a lot of these competitions, but also you could easily miss it. It's really luck of the draw. It just depends if you see it, and I mean, that's kind of how World Cups go in general. Sometimes you read things right, and sometimes you read
don't.
things wrong.
Yeah. That made a little mistake, maybe some fatigue, but now, the judge did not contact all 4 starting points.
Oof, that's not ideal, because that move is quite difficult.
Yeah, you saw the judge get out right away.
Which is good. You want the judges to come up as fast as possible so the athlete's not losing time.
Chae-Yun Sao, we are in a now or never moment. She has got herself a zone. Can she get through? I don't know, 10 seconds, Megan. This boulder is longer than that.
Oof, nice backtrack. I don't know if she's gonna have time.
Yeah,
really great work though from Chae-Yun So.
She's gonna have to do with a zone on boulders 3 and 4.
First bouldering final, fought till the very end. Was able to show a lot of creativity and some great climbing.
And in with some very heavy hitters, Megan.
Oh my gosh, yeah, right? Athletes that have been in finals for bouldering many, many times. I mean, some of the best.
Yeah, you're trying to dethrone someone who thinks that they deserve every medal that they walk out in potential for. Natalia Grossman, one of those. She is looking for that 6th gold medal. Already the winningest female climber in the women's US bouldering history. Natalia Grossman, I'm just gonna say that at this point, needs a top.
Yeah, definitely needs a top here. Definitely a boulder that would suit her skill set nicely, going to that pocket static by using her feet, making sure she gets her feet out left to the volumes early and kind of just like locking out. We've talked about her a lot, just really being able to climb carefully and
does that
the path
so
of
well.
least resistance, highest percentage of staying on, setting up with her hips to go slow here. Now she'll just have to pop into this Gaston and catch it high.
Yes,
Nicely
she does. Natalia Grossman has got her legs back under her.
This is really the last difficult move. You have to go into this pretty bad crimp that has some slippery texture.
You're hunting for feet to the right.
But then she'll get into a pretty good crimp.
Oh, the focus here.
One hand, but she needs two.
That is a top from Natalia Grossman, a flash of boulder number 4 to put her in medal contention.
And that is how you turn around.
Oh, I love it. I heard that that's where you were going with that sentence, and I love that that's where you ended up.
She should be very happy with her climbing. You know, it's hard to come back from a little bit of frazzled climbing. I mean, we've seen her in the last couple years be so dominant, so we're not seeing her fall so much, and to come back and show that she can fall on things and still come back and flash boulders later, I think that's really good for her progression as an athlete and, you know, being able to fight to stay on top.
Yeah, and she's put herself in position. She can do no worse than bronze, but based on the climbing of Miho and Brooke, will determine the color of that medal.
We could have the same podium from last weekend, but who knows what the orientation will look like.
Oh my goodness. If I wasn't so chilly, I would be on the edge of my seat. I'm using all of my seat right now to stay warm. Miho Nanaka also now with her fate in her hands. If she, sending this boulder will put her into the top spot in 4 tries or less, I think.
I'm gonna let you handle the math. It is not my forte.
I'm doing it out of the corner of my eye. There's a lot of decision making, and then so slow.
Same method as Natalia. Really making sure you get to that pocket
and she got
right
3.
away.
She stacked 3 in that to make sure.
I saw that. That was really smart. 3 is better than 2.
Miho Nanaka, is she just gonna bounce to the zone? Yes.
Just needs to make sure she sets up with her feet in a way that this move isn't so aggressive, just to conserve.
Ooh.
And missed the right hand screw on, so it made that move a little more difficult. But because she climbed so smart through that first attempt, she kept her feet on as much as she could. She shouldn't have expended too much energy, so she can take a quick little rest, reassess that section, see how she can figure out to keep her feet on possibly, so she's not kind of jumping into those 2 shoulder moves.
And she loves a physical boulder, so that one maybe even will have just warmed her up back up to 100%, reminded her where the shoulder muscles are, and given her a chance to say, wait a minute, this is the kind of boulder I excel at. Miho Nanaka pulling back on for attempt number 2 on boulder number 4. Just that amount of power.
You know, I think she does that a little slightly different than Natalia, because Natalia had her wrist turned
twisted.
the other way, and Miho chose to go this way, which makes sense because she has that tape on her wrist. It'll feel more comfortable to be in that undercling as opposed to turning around on her
Oh,
wrist.
look at this. She's going to go with a drop knee.
Just like Natalia did,
Love
able
it.
to keep your hips into the wall. It's way more secure.
Miho Nanaka getting everything right this time.
Little knee scum there.
Just be careful not to touch that pink hold.
Oh yeah, seriously.
Although, if you can reach it, you can use
touch it, yeah.
So, yeah, nothing's marked out.
There's no black tape there, and probably for that reason, because it's not really doing much. They're still flagging.
And just eyeing, oh man,
Just
you
has
see
to
her
pop
just
up
second
into
guessing
the
that.
Gaston. You see it has a good bite. Once you get in there, you should be fine, but it's kind of farther than you want it to be, and it's a lot on the shoulder.
Yes. And a lot on the left
Isn't
foot.
able to make it happen.
Miho,
Has time though, plenty
Yep.
of time.
love the crowd sort of ebbs and flows on the whole attempt. They get excited, you can only cheer for so long.
I feel like it's excitement and then nerves, and you're trying to play back between the two of them.
Yeah, so the zone pops her into silver as we stand with Brooke still to climb. Ayala, of course, but Ayala cannot influence the podium at this point. Or maybe, actually, maybe Ayala can influence the podium. There's work to be done. So
It's always hard to play the guessing
yeah,
game.
Miho's got more attempts in the scoring than she does on the clock. It's now or never, I feel. Can Miho Nanaka give herself the gold medal? Oh my
Looking
goodness.
a little fatigued there.
Yep. Yeah, her first attempts, I
Was
thought.
so good.
I
But again, it's one of those boulders that, I mean, 2 tries, you know, still feeling good, but by the time you get to that 3rd try, your energy is quite zapped.
Yeah, you see her exhausted. Miho Nanaka is going to have to
Great
say, that's
climbing.
it, that's all. So the best she can do is silver, which would match many of her.
Yeah.
I think her most collection is silver medals.
I believe you are right. And I'm gonna look right, yeah, I think so. Many, many silvers. Not a bad problem to have.
Yes. You see the athletes gathering. They get to sit and watch everyone coming out behind them. So she's going to watch Brooke, and Brooke can get herself on the podium with a top.
And
we'll
has
get
a good
into
shot at a chance for a top
a
spot.
shiny gold medal is on the line for Brooke Rabatou with a top in, I'm going to go and do the math here, 4 tries or less.
Again, another climber who will like a boulder like this. Honestly, she has a little smile on her face of excitement as she takes a moment to center herself. Don't want to get overexcited.
Nope, don't want to get overexcited, but she definitely had a little bit of a, yeah, I got this.
She's like, this is a boulder that's for me. Into the pocket right away. Which, for Brooke, that hand orientation will definitely give her a little bit more reach. Oh, she's going to go to the undercling, though. Either
Yep.
way, she should be able to get there as she has good flexibility. Gonna flip back.
Yep.
Very
She's
Ooh,
just
maybe
getting-
not.
And interesting
Yeah,
stuff
toe
here.
hook the zone hold. That's a great idea. It gives her a second to kind of like reassess. Just trying to figure out how she's gonna get to that zone. Yep. Oh.
Nope. Yep.
Doesn't
nope.
like
Doesn't
it.
like any of it. Doesn't like the toe press. And it's just gonna go
Oh,
big burl.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Sometimes,
Beautifully
Megan, the right
done.
approach is when in doubt, thug it out.
And
that
she
was that.
definitely did, but is she gonna see that drop knee? That would definitely make this a bit easier.
Oh,
Just
she missed
gonna
the
miss
crimp.
the crimp.
Ah!
So we've saw Miho do the same thing. We have to see if she'll find that drop knee that gives you a chance for a little more success and honestly to save a lot of energy to then slowly get to the crimp and set up to jump out. Let's take another look at the, first of all, to be able to
reset.
also stay with your foot on just
Yes.
that tiny part. There is not a lot of friction there, and she's just swinging back and forth on it. Incredible.
The crowd winding up for her. Lots of time on this clock, but as we have seen, that problem is winding down the energy in your tank, and even now you see her just grimacing a little bit.
Nicely into the zone right away. Looks like she's gonna try to go more dynamic again.
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. The amount of strength that took to pause like that makes her a little low. Isn't seeing that she can maybe get her right foot out and create that drop knee method. Taking another second to look around and see if she can find any other way to do this.
Looking at the clock. Yeah, stalling that movement on that crimp, and then I thought when she had done that she would be great
that
to stand straight up, but
hard too.
It's so steep, right? We're looking at you know, I think at least 30 degrees here, and you have to work so hard to keep your body tension in. I love that she's sticking this move every time.
Yeah, the crowd really fighting for her.
Still able to secure a gold medal with a top.
See if she finds the foot. Gonna match.
She is gonna do that again. Is she gonna go left hand?
Oh,
maybe
man.
trying to match again. And just, you see her, she rolled that shoulder. She's flexing the fingertips. This boulder is asking a lot of these finalists.
Very, very physical.
Here we go, 40 seconds. I feel that this might be the last one. Brooke Rabatou for gold to the top.
Minor changes need to happen for her to be able to make this happen. Looks like...
Is she looking at the drop knee?
Oh,
Is she looking at the drop knee? She is! She sees it, Meiringen!
Ooh, that deep
Oh
split there.
my goodness, 15! Oh my goodness!
Brooke Rabatou needs to move a little faster.
She does have to hustle 10. I don't want to see it.
I'm afraid to keep watching.
Oh, she's really got to go. 5 seconds. I don't think it's enough. Megan Martin,
Oh!
no!
So much fight.
Brooke Rabatou is going to take it.
Performance from Brooke Rabatou. She knows she needed to do that boulder to end up with a gold.
To
but
the
currently in
wire.
the third place spot. Beautiful climbing from her.
Yeah,
Wow.
it
just
hurts.
Figured it out just a little too late, and sometimes that's what happens.
It hurts in the moment, but you know, a bronze medal is still a bronze medal if she
really
hangs on to it. And when she looked back over her shoulder, the crowd also let her know that they thought that was going to be a good decision. And she did that move so
Look
well.
how deeply
and even
she sat
here,
to get a little momentum. Again, we've talked about her being the shortest competitor in this competition, fully spanned here on her tippy toe on that left volume. And then just a little too rushed to set up here with that clock counting down. And as we saw, look, she's just fighting
so gassed,
tooth and nail to try to get up there.
And that, again, that angle shows you that it is a steep overhang.
Very, very steep.
So that right now, Natalia Grossman sitting in the gold medal position, and she will keep it. Miho Nanaka sitting with 3 and 4. And Ayala, I think, can get herself a medal here with a top. So a top will give her 3 and 4, and it'll come down to attempts. So a silver medal, yes, in 2 attempts. So that'll push Miho down and Brooke out. So Ayala Karam with her fate in her hands, but needs a top. And this boulder has proven
to be
that
quite difficult.
Yeah, it's not giving away tops.
Nice sign there for Ayala.
Just reevaluating that. Just make sure you're getting settled to make this first move. We've seen it done 3 or 4 different ways. That the slow lock off that Miho and
Brooke and
did.
Natalia all did.
Wow.
It's definitely the more efficient way. The other way works. It also, the other way looks really cool, but you expend so much more energy when you have to kind of set up and jump. And also, it's a dead point. You're dead pointing into that pocket. There's a chance to miss your fingers in a way, hit the shoulder in a weird way. It's definitely more risky. Able to stick at that time.
Oh, there we go.
See what she does here to figure out how to get to the zone. Also, we've seen it done so many different ways. She does seem to have a pretty good reach, so I don't think she'll actually have that much trouble getting to it. Ooh, nice save.
About momentum, yeah,
of course,
very good
after
save.
I said that, she had to have a save.
You're testing fate.
Oh, just shy of it there.
Even just hanging there. So all of the climbers have spent, 8 or 9, 10 seconds deciding where to generate the momentum. We've seen them sort of 3 or 4 or 5 windups. Even just hanging on those 2 is taking its toll on your body. So every single time you pull on this boulder, you are, the meter is slowly lowering.
Depleting every time.
Ayala Karim. And as we see so many times, after sticking, you are thinking too far ahead, you get a bit of a miss.
I thought maybe she should wind down the clock a little bit more, but we'll see. Nice.
Very good catch.
Just needs to figure out how she needs to set up to get to the zone.
Flipping that pocket and back again. This is... Yes!
Nice try hard
I'm sure
there.
you heard that.
I love when we get to hear a power scream.
Yeah, there's some microphones camped out along the top of the wall. Ayala just not quite getting enough. You see the cameraman backing out of the way, and she looks hopefully not injured, maybe just
I think she's
worried.
just getting tired and a little stressed.
Alex there also getting a little stressed. Okay, 1 minute now.
Let's see if she can figure out what she needs to do on this final attempt. Oh, but a foot slip like that means you can get right back on, not losing too much time. Oh, she is just zapped for energy.
I think that those 2 tries in the middle.
I do agree though with, you know, she looked at her finger, and that is a smart move. If she wasn't feeling any tweakiness, you keep going to the end, but definitely not worth it. There are many more competitions in this circuit this season.
It's a long season and a long career.
Yeah, and finger injuries, as we all know, take forever to heal. Really great climbing from Ayala.
Megan, that's going to do it.
Wait, we're done. Oh
We're
my
done.
gosh, I can't believe it.
That is the women's final in the books. Ayala Karim here, you see her getting this move right a couple of times and just getting the zone once and then not having enough gas and maybe protecting. You see her pointing at her fingers. That's going to do it. An excellent performance. Making a final is a huge accomplishment. That is essentially going to be what she's going to need to look back on and say, yes, I feel that that was an accomplishment, although it stings in the moment. Natalia Grossman, another gold medal. 4 tops in 10 attempts. Miho Nanaka just shy. A top would have put her in the gold medal spot. She's going to end up in silver, just ahead of Brooke Rabatu. And then Futaba Ito in 4th, Chaeyun Sao in 5th, and Ayala Karim in 6th place. What a final. You had to climb near perfectly. 4 tops to give you the gold medal. We so often see that, and Natalia Grossman is proving to be Salt Lake City's golden girl. She has been doing this now for a season and a half. She is establishing herself as really the climber to beat right now. So gold in Seoul, gold in Salt Lake City last weekend, and gold in Salt Lake City this weekend. Here we are with the flower presentation. We do this in between, and that was a very familiar look from last weekend's podium. And the crowd definitely giving them that love. The only swap was the silver for Brooke and the bronze for Miho last weekend. But Natalia Grossman, I love this now. The flowers into the crowd. A little reward for the people who have been getting rained on for the last 45 minutes or so. And just as soon as we can, Megan is going to catch up with Natalia Grossman for what is becoming a habit and another finals interview. I hope you enjoyed the show up to that point. The women climbing extremely well. Some technically difficult boulders. A lot of very requirements for perfect movement. And you see now the route setters getting ready for the men's final, just moving some holds out of the way. And we are going to get to the men's basically right after we get this all sorted out. We get Megan sorted out to catch up with Natalia. The men are in the back waiting for their time to come out, so don't go too far. We're going to have that men's final coming right up. But, getting to be about 7:30 here in Salt Lake City. And as we've been mentioning earlier during the semifinal, chilly for the people watching, but great temperatures for the climbers. You don't want to have a lot of heat in the air, a lot of humidity. You want to have that a little bit cooler temps, keeps the sweat out of your hands, improves the friction. Oh, and interesting to note that the route setters were working in the middle of the week here. It was 30+ degrees. So it was very hot when they were setting these boulders, and then they needed to adjust them a little bit, tweak them to be just a little bit harder for the conditions that we're sitting in this evening on Sunday night here in Salt Lake City. I hope that you've been with us through our really compressed back-to-back weekends here in Salt Lake City. We had speed last weekend, followed by Boulder. We had a paraclimbing event on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Front Climbing Club, which was an absolutely outstanding event. And now we've gone speed again on Friday and to our second Boulder World Cup. And almost over. It seems like so much work when we get here 10 days ago. And now I'm almost sad to tell you that the only thing left is the men's final. It's been a great week and a bit here in Salt Lake City. Huge thank you to all of the volunteers, of course. And we're going to hear from Natalia Grossman, who's with our Megan Martin.
Natalia, last year you came into this competition and won back-to-back weekends, and last weekend you kept that dream alive with a win. Did you think you were going to be able to make it happen again this weekend?
I honestly had no idea what to expect coming into this weekend. I really wanted to make it happen, but I wasn't sure.
And, I've watched you over the past couple years become such a dominant competitor, and for the first time in a long time, I saw you fall on more boulders than I have in a while, and I could feel the pressure and the tension that you were feeling. And to get out there, keep it together through the semifinals, and then make it happen in the final, how did you dig that deep and make it all come together?
I don't even know. I'm kind of in shock. I think there were so many points I wanted to give up in this past round, and I had to try so hard against my mind, I guess, to stay in it, because it wasn't over until the last second. But I thought it was over after the first boulder, and it was so hard to stay positive, but yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you stayed positive. That is a great example for all future generations. Congratulations on another win. I'm going to try not to cry, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Natalia Grossman, who herself doesn't really know. In that moment, you don't know what you did to dig that deep and climb your way to another gold medal. I love, actually, I was also hearing Megan is so connected to this American team. She has been involved for so long, and I know that she climbs with these women, and she's hoping for these future generations for the success that they are gaining. So I know that she's so happy about that. And if you could see us over in the booths, where we lean forward, we're standing up, we're miming out the moves. There's a lot of excitement from us. These are people that we're connected to, and in Megan's case, there's some friends. So this is going to be our men's Boulder final. Again, if you're just joining us, the women's just concluded, and we're about to get underway with the men here in Salt Lake City, the second of our back-to-back World Cup weekends. Youngwon Chon is going to come out first. Lei Kawamata, American Ross Fulkerson. You'll hear the crowd pop up every time he comes out. Andrzej Paharts from Slovenia, and then two more Japanese climbers, Yoshiyuki Ogata and Kokoro Fuji, are going to be coming out in the first and second position. Excellent climbers, of course. The 20 that were in the semi, almost any one of them could have made this final. So we are definitely going to be in for a show to round out our evening here in Salt Lake City. We're going to break down the boulders for you as if you were watching the women's, and we'll do the same thing with the men's. We have that really interesting 3D modeling. Gets you a good look around the holds. We get up underneath them, show you the angles. One of the things that never really translates super well to TV is the steepness of the wall and the changing angles, and sometimes even how bad the holds are. So we'll do our best to get you the angles and show you how hard the climbers are working. Sometimes they do make it look really easy, and most assuredly it is not. The crowd here is super resilient. It did rain quite heavily just through the middle of the women's final, and it may have stopped now, but it's damp and chilly out there. It's warm and toasty in your living rooms, I'm sure, so you can settle in and get ready for the men's final. We're gonna get started with the introductions of the athletes, starting with Youngwon Chon, Lei Kawamata, and then listen to the crowd here.
Ross Fulkerson in his first final. That Salt Lake City home crowd. He moved here not too long ago, so they are rooting for him.
Yeah, and he's feeling the effects of that training center approach. Anjay Paharts. Yoshoyuki Ogata. I love watching climbers run across. It's so, the mats are hard to run on. They're so they're so good in movement, and they have to run so carefully.
They're an awkward springiness.
Yeah, it's always a good look. And your top finalist is going to be Kokoro Fuji. So again, as we're accustomed to seeing 3 Japanese climbers in the final, we've seen as many as 5 last weekend. And then Ross Fulkerson, the American, Anjay Paharts from Slovenia, and good to see Youngwon Chon back in a final after spending almost 2 seasons focusing on the all-around to go to the Olympics. He's back to his possibly favorite discipline and almost immediately back into the mix. He's like, okay, I'm gonna focus on boulder problems, and I'm gonna remind you all that I am still very, very good at them.
Exactly, he is ready to be back on the scene. Men running out to look at the boulder problems. This is from earlier. So the men and the women preview their boulders together, and then after the presentation, they have a chance to go back while we show you all what the men were previewing.
And then again, if you weren't watching the women's, and if you are not super familiar with World Cup bouldering competitions, they do have 2 minutes looking at each boulder. They can touch only the start hold, so they can't leave the ground, but they do want to, they just go and feel them to, okay, that's familiar. You learn that as soon as you grab it anyway, but they always grab the start holds. And then you see quite a bit of collaboration. You see here just Ross and Youngwon talking about how are you going to do this first move? Are you going to twist, go right, left? And it adds a layer. The route setters can set more complex boulders because they have lots of time earlier. They have 2 minutes to work the boulder out and talk through it with someone else. When you're out climbing on site, when you're in your qualifiers, in your semis, you're all alone, and you don't know if you're making the right decision or not. You don't know if should you stick with what you're doing, so to just some technical pressing.
I'm interested to see the top hold has some screw holes in it that maybe the men will use, maybe they won't use. Interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, we never know exactly what they're going to do. Even as many times as we've watched them climb, there will be a surprise here and there. They'll do something, magical. Sometimes they make some mistakes. They do some things that are a little bit unexpected on the wrong side of the equation. But for the most part, they get it right, and often comes down to how strong you are or how quick you read the boulder.
Yep.
So that is the intent, of course, is we want to see climbers get to the top of boulders, and then we're going to split them out based on how quickly they read the boulders and how few mistakes they make. Youngwon Chon, 26 years old, and a good medal collection to his name at this point.
Just another quick scan of the boulder, make sure he remembers it well. So the men did preview before the women's climb, so you might see them take a little more time than the women did because it was very fresh in the women's mind when they came out.
And it's been a few,
it's been
an hour and a bit since they've seen one. But
right into that arete there to try to figure out how he wants to set up for this jump. Now you could catch it 2 hands or just with one. Not a lot of I know, right? Not a lot of room on that hold because it is blocked by another hold above it. So bringing that left hand across the volume is smart to kind of slow down that swing. It would be really cool. I know that this is
just
probably not going to happen, but I'm going to try. So it would be cool if someone did swing and continued the swing to that other pillar and just jumped to the next hold and kind of connected the whole thing. Unlikely to happen. Would involve a lot of coordination, but it would be cool taking that 2-hand method there, a little more secure.
And this is an awkward angle to solve.
You see why it could be connected, possibly. That hold he's on is really interesting too. It's mostly the slippery texture. Now has to find the foot placement where there's not a lot. Can kind of keep that toe.
And then just some technical pressing.
Just technical pressing. Gonna wrap, actually.
He is gonna wrap. Interesting.
Great way to kind of move his left
and
hips, or the body weight over to the left more.
Looks insecure in this position.
Almost went for a knee.
Yeah.
Gonna make it happen.
Yeah, making that happen with some core tension.
I always love his excitement.
Yeah, he's always happy to be at the top of a boulder problem.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to come out and say that I also, I'm super loving the team jackets from Korea.
Oh, yeah, the bright yellow.
Yellow and white. I'm a fan.
It's very nice.
Please, I'll...
really committed to this coordination move here. Really smart to bring that left hand in to kind of really secure. So you can kind of see those screw holes I was talking about. If you wanted to,
you could maybe work into
kind of
one.
Death crimp in there. It's not pretty, but
no. Sometimes by any means necessary is the right approach.
Yeah, we're not really worried about whether things look nice or feel
we're
nice.
not. We're worried
climbing.
about getting it done. That's what we care about. Lei Kawamata.
In the finals last weekend as well, just 18 years old. And you know, that's one of the trends we're seeing a bit more these days. I'd say about 10 years ago, you didn't really see consistent 18-year-old men in finals. It's been something we've seen on the women's side a lot over the years, but you know, the older men kind of held it down a bit more.
For longer.
But we're starting to see those youth athletes, or those younger athletes, move into this elite space and just start dominating so quickly, as Lei Kawamata has been doing. A little slip there, but...
Yeah, Megan, I went on a broadcast in Japan at a different FEES event, which is an extreme sport show. They move around Europe, and they do BMX and a bunch of other things, and they had a climbing competition, and it was right before a World Cup, and it was all the youth climbers in Japan. They were climbing. You wouldn't have known. If you didn't say the boulders were hard, the movements were explosive, and if you hadn't told people that they were 16-year-olds, you wouldn't have known. And that was my window into the future. And I would have to go back and look, but I do believe that some of these Japanese climbers were climbing there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It was almost four years ago with COVID. I forget the COVID
We always
years.
skip a year with that one.
So
Lei setting up for the jump again. I really like how he, right before he jumps, he throws that left foot in to kind of make sure he gets a little more momentum over, just short of it that time. Again, Jongwon decided to bring the left hand in to kind of make it more secure to catch that hold. We'll see if Lei figures that out. Obviously, he is capable of holding it one hand. It's just what he chooses to do in the end.
Yeah, it needs to do a little bit more. You see, it's a string of root setters in the background.
Yeah, in very bright jackets,
Very bright jackets. They often hide, but you cannot hide in bright yellow. And I will let you know at home that the blue sky has reappeared here in Salt Lake City. So the people that, okay now. Kawamata does bring the left hand in. Taking 4 attempts and then moving so cleanly there. That hold it's bad.
Yeah, and then, you see his finger is in a screw hole there. Sliding out though. And now able to get into this box here. And now, if you can bring up that left foot, creating that opposition is ideal.
That is a small box.
It's a very small box. Not all of the men will be able to do that, as they are varying heights. It'd be cool to see if Anjay can do that. He's quite tall.
Yeah. And then, you decide, of course, if you don't need to do that.
Yeah. I still think
really
it would be
catch.
possible to see this whole thing connected.
If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Yoshiyuki.
This is so true.
He's the springiest of all the finalists. He loves
I just got
jumping.
even more excited.
You did. You just. I will tell you, watching at home, that Megan's eyes just got as big as saucers. Oh yes, maybe you're right.
I just want to see some.
Just want to see it happen.
Excitement. Ross Fulkerson running out with a huge smile on his face. His first final.
And the crowd.
Not too long ago that he was in his first American final at a high-level competition. So quick progress here for Ross Fulkerson. I kind of ended up with a different accent there.
A few syllables in a row.
Taking a few seconds to brush, as so many of the athletes do. It's kind of nice. You kind of kill two birds with one stone there. You get a second to reassess the boulder, and you're making sure that you have the best chance of getting through the boulder on your first attempt.
And you can kind of poke the holds with the brush. You know,
Yeah,
you
you
can
can kinda
see
get a
how good the
sense.
lip is.
Oof.
Yeah. And just this is going to be, for some of the athletes, you're going to see 2 or 3 attempts, maybe one too far, one too close. You
I
don't want
think
to go too hard, or the swing is huge.
I honestly think he saw that handprint and immediately thought, I need to come in with my left hand to the volume. And then the minute he did that, he was like, oh, wait,
No,
maybe
I
not.
I just
Maybe
need to
I
jump.
want to do something else. And, you know, Ross has always been pretty good at sticking to, you know, things that feel right for his body. And he really displayed that this weekend on so many boulders where he just committed to doing what felt natural to him, even if it wasn't what we saw done a lot. And
Yeah,
I
know
talk
your body,
about
know
that
your style.
I talk about that skill a lot just because I think it is really interesting and something that more people should pay attention to, because
Oh, wow.
there's another example.
He slowed down with the left hand, but it didn't do that much.
But it
Grief.
helped.
It definitely helped a little bit, and he's now getting into the swing.
Oh,
And just pivoting out maybe a little too much roll.
yeah, I think you really do need to bring that left hand in to catch that next one. It's just a little too fast.
Yeah.
And you are grabbing somewhat of a sloper. It's basically a round hold that's the slippery texture. Then with like the tiniest little bit of a round, like little raised, not like the eggs on the women's boulder, but like tiny bit raised
Now you see it here, that
texture.
the whitish part of the hold is the only part with friction. And the shiny red is, and when you grab a hold that way, a lot of your hand is on it. Your palm is on the dual textured part, and that has an effect with how well you can slow the momentum down. So,
Oh, tried to execute again there. You know, also every time his left hand drags across that volume, those volumes, just imagine if you were just dragging across sandpaper over and over again across 2 days of 3 rounds of climbing. Oh, nice, does it again.
all right, so have a look here. He's trying to get precise and to get enough momentum, but not too much.
Brings the left hand in, but just didn't hit the right spot on the hold to create that compression.
A couple
Or
ways.
opposition.
Opposition. A couple ways. No, compression.
It's both.
Yep. A couple ways to slow down that kind of swing. You have to generate so much left to right momentum as you're watching this huge swing, and then you have to slow it down. We see a couple different ways. You see some climbers let the legs go in that full scorpion, and they hold a lot of core. And you'll see some climbers try and control the legs as well, and almost in that pike position. Ross looking like he's trying to control his entire lower body on the swing, adding more white chalk to the left side, and then generating huge amounts of physical.
Oh my gosh. Woo, that was scary.
I was a
He
little scary.
recovered
I
from
sat
that
up.
nicely.
Yep.
You could tell he was a little startled there for a second as well. I do think the placement of this zone is really good. This first move is obviously hard, but the second move is also very tricky. So it's kind of nice. I mean, it's frustrating as an athlete to know that you've done a hard move and you still didn't get any points on the board, but I think that next move deserves the zone.
Yeah, you're rewarded for extra effort. On the boulders without a lot of holds, they try not to make the zone the hold before the finish.
Yeah.
And you do need to earn a zone. So, you know, it's something that route setters spend quite a lot of time thinking about. And sometimes you'll see them add a move, and they're just never really slowing down the left to right momentum enough to make it stick. So he'll be a little disappointed, but we're just getting started. Now we see Andrzej Paharts come out. And Slovenia almost had a couple of Slovenians in the final. Greg Vazana climbed very well, but did not quite make it in.
And we've seen Andrzej here quite a few times.
He's becoming a regular.
Yeah, he's becoming quite dominant at only 24 years old.
Yeah,
See a lot of 24-year-olds in these competitions.
Yeah, he's got a youth gold medal to his name, but no adult golds. He does have a bronze from 2019, so he's been in the finals a couple times.
Yep.
He's been in the semifinals a lot.
A lot in the semis.
But would love to upgrade the color in his medal collection.
And we talk about consistency a lot, and the theme is that once you get into a round, you often frequent that round more often. That was a very big mouthful.
You become familiar.
You become very familiar with it. You get in semis, you find yourself in a lot of semis, you start getting into finals, you start finding yourself in a lot of finals, and Anže is definitely looking to find himself in more podium spots and really doing a good job.
This is how you do it.
Onto that little screw hole crimp for a second, just to kind of move over on that right volume a bit. Didn't I say it would be really cool to see if he got his foot up there? Because he is quite tall.
He did, and he
just
did.
Displaying his flexibility.
And you see him just leaning out from that finish hold to create enough space to get the foot up. So much of climbing is creating room for yourself. Small box and big box. The small box is when you've got to get 3 or more limbs in a very small, very close to each other. And then big moves, big box placements are where you're at extension. And both of those things are very challenging physically. So when you're at it, and you just see here, he leans left to give himself room to not eject as soon as the right foot gets established. I love it. Yes,
awesome smiles, celebration. You know, I will say, I feel like oftentimes in finals, you don't see as many people celebrate before that match.
Yeah, they're a little more careful. I think I've noticed you being a little happier with the match then celebrate ratio in the finals. And Yoshiyuki Ogata, this has come up, he's in the finals quite often.
Yes.
That profile picture
is so
good.
It's funny because it's like way more serious than he generally seems. Like he's quite happy to watch and like enjoying himself, and he looks so serious in that photo.
Someone told him he had to take a passport picture for his profile picture, and he task achieved.
Like I was in ISO in semis, and he walked in just full of smiles. I was like, "Good morning." He was like, "Good morning."
Yeah, he loves to do this.
Yeah. He pulled up into that so nicely with the shoulder, really securing that hold well.
Yeah,
almost looked like he looked back at the crowd for a second.
Like, did you all see that? Well, I love that little heel hook.
Yep.
Moving, he doesn't need to be, but he's moving. Maybe a little adrenaline.
Yeah, moving
rushing
quickly
through the top of the boulder.
I mean, he does also seem a little cold, just straight into it. Now, the only thing I can say is I do wish he connected that whole coordination
it was close.
section.
He did it on one swing. He did spend a lot of extra time.
Which only makes me think that it could have been possible, but I get it. Obviously, it's a competition. It's not about a show.
No.
Just for me.
You can tell him after that you're disappointed that he didn't do it. He looked, and then he did it on the return.
I mean, it was smart to go this way. Also, it would be difficult to connect in the sense that there's those ridges on that volume, so if you miss it, you could slip and it would be sketchy.
He did look at the crowd,
and
he got up so high, and that's when you're controlling the physical swing. The more you can pull up.
He actually didn't smile at the top, by the way.
No,
he did
I noticed that too. I wasn't going to say it. I'm like, he's proving us wrong all over the place.
There's a wee bit of a smirk there.
0 for 2. 0 for 2. It's okay. It's only the first boulder. We got time to catch right back up. Kokoro Fuji is going to round out.
I think he's drying his liquid chalk there, just taking a few last seconds to blow on his hands before he gets going. I'm sure the men are really psyched that the rain is not happening right now. Keeps it a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
We were both shivering at the end of the women's. Someone actually brought us a blanket. They felt really sorry for us.
Cool, I love that. It just appeared. And I love that it came over with a question mark. Did you guys want a blanket?
I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Thankful to the medical team.
Yeah. All right. Kokoro Fuji is going to close out boulder number 1 for the men. And what might be, I mean, it's always early to tell, but when you see 3 or 4 tops, we get into the must-top side of the argument.
Ooh, one that was it. He was kind of like tic-tacking back and forth, and he decided to go with 1 foot too. A lot of the men have thrown down both feet onto that volume. But, you know, if you are going to catch it one hand, you would need to slow it down, and landing one foot on the volume and hopping would do that. So maybe it's not a bad idea. Granted, we have seen that 2 hands on that zone hold is
really
the
ideal.
best way to do it.
And I
It's
love
most
how
secure way.
yeah, I love how direct he gets to that first move. He doesn't put a lot of swing
Wow,
there. And he
gosh.
almost didn't need the left hand.
And again, that goes back to that tic-tac back and forth landing on the 1 foot. It really just slows the whole thing down, so you aren't having to aggressively catch it. You're just kind of floating into it. Ooh, I think he might bring the foot up.
Yes,
Nice.
he will.
I love the flexibility.
Top from Kokoro Fuji. The Japanese coaches letting them know that they approve. So that is going to knot it up pretty tight after Boulder 1.
I love seeing all the excitement.
Yeah, he did make this catch
It was so
so
smooth.
smooth.
And
Go.
pop.
And then just
Ta-da.
left hand for security.
2 hands are always better than 1.
And then we'll get a great example of match, followed by celebrate match. And there we go. Megan Martin approved top
Match,
sequence.
celebrate, sequence. Everybody take note.
Yoshiyuki with the only flash. And then Fuji, Paharts, and Chan with 2 attempts to get to the top. And then Lei Kawamata just behind Ross Fulkerson. It's fine, it's just the first boulder.
Yep.
He's got to shake it off. So remember, the mental part of this is that he's got to go back. He's got, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 minutes to think about his first finals boulder and what he wants to do to refocus. No matter how many times you make a final, first to 20th, you still need to play that mental side of it and make sure that you can get yourself in a good place. Steepest part of the wall, Megan, boulder number 2.
Straight into that steep angle like you were saying. And this start, likely the men are going to have to start by getting into those double toe hooks out right. It'd be interesting to see if they can do it another way. And they kind of have to throw into a crimp and then a press and then into that zone hold. And it's quite grapply until you hit that right volume right below the top hold. You kind of, it's similar to the women's number 4. You're going to do a shouldery like 1-2, and the right hold is really good, so then you can relax and go to the top. But everything before that is very strenuous and tension-filled, ab-activated climbing. It's honestly going to be really difficult, and I'm excited to see how the men fare on this boulder.
Yeah, sometimes we use the expression full body climbing when you have to push and pull with all angles.
I like that he already found that you could do it another way. I asked earlier if the route setters thought that any of the men would do it another way. Nicely. Did you see the crimp too that he was grabbing? It was so small. When they said that you were supposed to cross into it with your right hand, I was like, wait, what?
What did you mean by that? No, say that again.
And
Youngwon Chan. Megan, is this going to be another flash?
It might be.
Oh, look at that. Footwork decisions. I didn't necessarily see that happening. And a big smile.
I mean, he did look before he matched. I'm okay with that. He was in a pretty secure position. Great climbing from Jongwon Chan. So Yoshiyuki with the flash on men's number 1. Jongwon Chan with the flash on men's number 2. Looks like it might be a fight between those 2.
It does indeed. And I just want to take 1 second to give a shout out to Online Observation. That's who's building the 3D models of these boulders, and they do keep them in an archive as well, so you can go back and re-look at previous finals boulders. Look in this here. He put his right foot to make the switch and then thought, oh, this will be the way to do that. And then
just straight to the top.
Yes, overjoyed.
Again, if you think topping boulders in a final at a World Cup competition is fun,
try flashing.
Flashing is a whole nother story. Honestly, flashing a boulder in any round of any competition.
Yeah, true. Let's dial that back a notch, and I'll agree with you that flashing a boulder in any round is a wonderful feeling. Lei Kawamata coming out here, the youngster.
just taking another look at the boulder. Looks like he might go with the double toe hook method to start. And you know,
having a look.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, getting over to that toe hook seems really hard, but it's nice that you can just like tap. I guess you don't have to double toe hook, it's just a tap, but sets you up in a, I don't know, interesting way.
So he would love to get another medal. It was bronze last week here in Salt Lake City for his first medal in only his 4th World Cup. So he's only, this is now his 5th. Does have a pretty good youth career, but
off to a great record
off to a pretty good start.
In the adult circuit.
Yeah.
Or I guess you should say elite circuit, because there are teenagers.
There are teenagers.
Just got to set up for this jump. Ooh, just slips a little. And you know, there is a lot of slippery texture on those holds where his feet are, so one false move and you could be
off.
In the slipperiness.
Yep. And the angles.
I had to. I just. It's one of those days.
I mean, it's a fact. It's a fact. A lot of changing angles. So on the steepest part of the wall, probably nearing 40 degrees, and then the volumes change it even more so. So this side-on look tells you that it's quite a bit steeper than it looks front on. So all the angles are a little bit different. You saw somebody like Lei Kawamata, who you obviously know can do a dead point move, but has to go quite a bit farther than it looks because you're fighting the angle. So now with that single toe hook onto this little crimp.
Just has to set up. Oh man, that's a pretty big move for him. He's gonna have to just pounce a little bit more aggressively, kind of
maybe a bit more accurately. I don't know that he's getting the best part of that hold.
He's definitely shallow on it.
It's gonna take a minute.
I feel like boulders like this, it is always good to take a second to reassess, because when every time you're on the wall, for every second, you are losing a lot of energy. You really can't waste time thinking on the wall, so you really have to go in with a clear-cut plan. Yeah, sure, on your first attempt, you'll probably have to pull an audible here and there, but once it's a later attempt, you really need to make sure you know exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and you need to refocus in that time on the mat.
Oh, and that was it. He just kind of slipped there. A little dry fire off of that right hand.
You see him looking at his right hand like maybe it's done him wrong. You're looking for damage, but you're also looking for why did you lead me astray? Lei Kawamata, couple deep breaths, 1 minute on the clock. You might let it run down a little bit. He will probably be resting a little less than he would prefer, but needs to give himself time to climb the boulder. Here we go. Lei Kawamata. 40 seconds, and here needs to be a little bit better.
Oh, this is smart.
The release.
Yeah.
Oh, and you see he tried
close
to flip the right hand because it slipped the first time.
But now he knows what to do. Having that toe hook, it's got him so stretched out. So releasing it early allows him to hop into that next hold without all that resistance pulling him downward, and then creating a helicopter effect with his legs.
And he'll be at least thinking, oh, it came off on the way. So Lei Kawamata is going to have to walk away without a zone on boulder number 2. See how that affects the standings. If you didn't know, there is an app. It's called World Cup Series, available on both your Android and your Apple stores. It's free, and then you navigate to the event, and you'll see across the bottom lead, boulder, and speed, and then you want to get to the final round, and it updates live after almost every attempt, if you're looking, but after every boulder, within just a few seconds. Yeah, just couldn't control, as you said, the spinning movement.
Yeah, we like to refer to that as the helicopter.
The helicopter.
Just think of propellers.
The ceiling fan, perhaps less exciting, the ceiling fan.
Yeah, I'm extreme.
All out. What is the fastest spinning object in the world? Probably a helicopter. Although someone's going to correct me. It's definitely like a gyroscope or some science-related. Fair. But helicopters are dramatic enough. So don't come at me in the comments anywhere with a helicopter is not the fastest spinning object in the world. just allow us a little bit of linguistic creativity, if you will. Ross Fulkerson is going to come out fired up.
I do think that this is a boulder he'll like a bit better than the first boulder. He is really good at figuring things out, finding body positions when he can keep his hands and feet on. And also really good with compression.
And he's powerful.
And he's powerful. So, and look, right, already set up nicely to hop into this hold.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So able to go slower, but still you saw the effect of the right hand letting go. The left hand hold is much worse than Youngwon Chon made it look.
He
just
he
danced up
really
it.
did make it look so easy. Nice
He's
view
light
of,
in his arms and light on his feet.
Yeah, we just had a quick view of the crowd. It's so nice that all the spectators stayed through the rain. It's really great for the athletes to have this kind of support, especially, I know we've had comps for a bit now, but still after a while where there weren't spectators
there was nothing,
and all of that. So it's really great to see everyone coming out to Salt Lake City and showing support for these athletes who work so hard to come out here and fight for medals.
Yeah, building careers, you know, as climbers is something that is not as historic as you might think. This is, how that right hand is so bad.
Yeah, and they're all brushing it a lot, but you know, the other thing is, you see the way it's turned? It's like it's okay when you go to it, but then to jump off of it, there's no way it can really stay, and that's why Jongwon flipped to the volume, but you still kind of want to hold it as long as you can, but the closer you're getting to the next hold, the more awkward that body position feels, and the harder it is to hold it, and then that opportunity for your hand to just pop off or dry fire, as we like to say in climbing.
I think an excellent consideration is that the angle of that hold is what's making the difference, and then you have to go around a corner, and you have to control right to left moving momentum. So the slower you can do it,
the better.
The better. And I feel that Ross, as a taller, lankier athlete, might be able to lean farther over and be more vertically direct.
And not really jump as much, just kind of try to static it a bit more.
A little more like Youngwon.
Yep. I actually am starting to think that maybe it would be better to just bail off of that right hand early. So like,
just commit earlier?
Yeah, commit earlier to actually flipping into the volume. Because then at least you can maybe catch that left hand a little higher and be more compressed on it.
Yeah, you want to be able to squeeze across that shoulder line if you can. Eyes closed, big deep breath. Ross Fulkerson, we know he's got it in him. He climbed so well earlier to get here. 50 seconds showing veteran patience.
Yeah, he's always been really good at that, actually. That's something that he's really excelled at in the past.
Okay, a great look here. Remember how steep this is. Ross Fulkerson.
He kind of held the toe there a little longer. He's also hitting the left side more. I feel like he needs to be a little too, it almost looks like he could try to throw a jam in there the way he is going at it right now.
So it needs to be a little higher, a little more in the middle of this hold. There.
Yes, that was it.
He knows it too.
And just figuring it out a little too late. And you know, that's something we see a lot. And in my opinion, that's one of those things that's more fixable than other, you know, things that aren't clicking. I mean, I'd rather have to try to learn to figure things out a little faster than have to become infinitely stronger.
If you were going to make me pick,
I mean,
I would agree with you.
Easy.
Yeah, I'd rather have to get smarter than stronger. Okay, so that's through the middle. 3 down, 3 to go on boulder number 2, and that's going to bring out Anjay Paharts.
Definitely a boulder I could see him getting done quickly. Seems like really in his wheelhouse. He looks really psyched too.
Just walking back around to remind himself he's not forgetting any subtleties.
Gonna set up for this jump move. Already reading the sequence so well.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, he almost just held it. Really able to slow it down.
Super impressive.
so good at that kind of stuff. Just needs to hop into the shoulder.
Yeah. Anže Pahart's looking every bit like he's gonna flash. Boulder number 2.
And he does.
Yes, he will.
Wow. So impressive. So him and Jongwon are tied in terms of their scores, but of course, Anže is listed ahead of him as he had the better performance in semifinals. Just such good route reading here, and also just strength, able to slow it down in that way. A lot of these moves like this, that is half the battle.
Yeah, and you saw, you just saw the wrist turn. He did swap to the volume. Yeah.
But I think he also, again, he was focusing more on getting the left hand and really activating and then coming in. Because if you just hit it and think you're going to come in without really grabbing it and pulling in, it's almost impossible to slow it down and get that flip.
A really good way to describe that move, activating on it. That's exactly what needs to happen. Yoshiyuki Ogata, 4 minutes. Boulder number 2.
Another boulder that would suit him very well. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens. This method seems nicer. Honestly, anytime you have to kind of, from the mat, throw your toes into a toe hook, it's a weird amount of energy that you have to use in your abs and your lower back and even in your shins. So better to do something else. Whoa!
Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was really cool.
He swapped.
I don't think he'll try it like that again, though.
No, I think that was a save.
Yeah.
A save attempt.
He thought he could kind of just hold it one-handed almost.
Which is, he does that a lot.
It's because he's so strong. He's like got so much power. Another, I mean, similar to Miho, I feel like, I mean, obviously people know he's powerful, but sometimes you forget just how powerful he is.
The ability to bend the arms doesn't always, we don't see it showcased on every finals boulder, for sure. There's lots of different ways to approach technique and lots of different ways to showcase power. World Cup finalists, but the ability to bend your arms, Yoshiyuki is one of the best.
See what he does here. Wow. Man, and he was on the verge of that helicopter effect with the legs too and really reeled it in. Now this move shouldn't be a problem for him. Just has to set up proper. Ooh, interesting.
Ooh, very.
But hey.
He's making it maybe a little bit harder. The left side of those two is definitely worse.
Not necessary to do it this way, but making it look good.
Is he gonna go straight up?
Oh no, he's gonna come down. Nicely done.
And then go all the way around the other way. Yoshiyuki Ogata.
Amazing.
Second try. A little unorthodox at the top, perhaps, but all that matters when the dust settles is what that scorecard looks like.
Getting to the top. Wow.
This here, so he slides, changes on the volume, and then just sort of lets go.
Yeah, and he like came back to the volume, and I think he got a little bit of a thumb catch on that screw-on, which was really smart to find. The whole time, too, he never looked nervous. He was definitely doing beta we hadn't seen and seemed a little unorthodox, but he didn't look that nervous.
No, just sort of doing his thing, but being sure. You see at the top, being careful. And that is going to bring our last finalist for boulder number 2, Kokoro Fuji. And as we were mentioning, he will know that that boulder got done fairly quickly. He will have seen the clock and heard the crowd, and he will know that his teammate topped that boulder in, you'll probably know he got it in 1 or 2 tries as well. Whether that plays into his mindset or not.
Also, you know, when you're doing a lot of these competitions, you start to recognize everybody's level, not just your own, but everybody else. And you can kind of guess what other people will do. I mean, so much of being successful in these competitions is really breaking things down. So you're always breaking down your climbing and your fellow climbers and trying to see if you can emulate things they're good at and become better at things you have weaknesses on. So everyone's just so cerebral in breaking things down that there's no way you can't do that in ISO as well.
And adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, you'll learn what is something to work on, and then learn what's something that is just always going to be good enough, and what else you need to put into the puzzle. So in season, you said you're not going to see huge gains maybe in strength, but you are going to see people adapting to maybe even setting trends. You're going to see them adapt to what their teammates and people from other countries are doing, and you'll see them maybe dial in some of these kind of movements, coordination movements, or slowly get better at slab climbing. And sometimes the venues make a difference, so you look over the schedule and they've climbed enough, the walls are pretty consistent. Here, we've gotten a lot steeper than we did last year.
Yep.
So the athletes would have shown up maybe expecting last year's wall and been a bit surprised to see steep, steep, steep in the middle. But you look at the season and think, okay, I need to work on my slab this year. A yell from Kokoro Fuji to summon something to make this move stick.
I feel like he does this a lot where it looks like he hasn't figured things out, but then he, like in a try or two, quickly figures out what seemed impossible for a second. He's really good at taking his time too in between attempts.
Adjust and adapt and get into the mental side of it. He's looking at the boulder, and there's not a lot of places to look. Not a lot of climbers turn on and face the crowd when they're resting. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
so they often just look at the boulder. So they're not always trying to solve something new. They're just they're looking at what they want to be fixated on.
I do think the minute you hit the mats, though, your response is to just look back up and see, like, okay, what do I do next? What am I doing wrong? And Kokoro obviously solving that puzzle well.
Slowed down the jump quite a bit.
It's very similar to how he did the jump on the first boulder.
And interesting to see that maybe him and Yoshiyuki talked about this method. The slightly whoa!
Good save there. Almost choosing to step on that slippery part.
Glad he didn't. Kokoro Fuji.
He's like, ooh.
Wow.
Glad I got that one done, but that was a little bit stressful.
A little bit of extra work.
I love seeing facial expressions. I always used to think that it'd be cool to have a camera right in your face when you look at boulders for the first time in qualifying and semis, just because sometimes I feel like, at least I experience turning around and being like, ugh. That's not what I want to get
I have a visceral physical reaction to what you're describing, and it's ugh.
Yeah, like, can I pass?
A really good look there. You saw Kokoro letting the legs go in what we generally call the scorpion, just pivoting and swinging, letting them take the momentum out of his movement. And that's where all of the energy, if we're going to get into the physics of it, that's where all that coiled up energy goes. You let it out through your legs. And I love that, how technically difficult that is and how well climbers do it.
Yeah, the execution is amazing.
So I'm just gonna say that it's a bit tight at the top of the field right now between Ogata, Paharts, and Chan.
Similar to the women's round.
I guess we could use the expression neck and neck. All tied up, knotted. Kokoro Fuji in fourth, Lei Kawamata a step behind, and Ross Fulkerson is going to need some magic if he's going to hunt a podium in his first World Cup final. But let's not count anybody out. And back with Romain, who is our chief route setter here, just gonna let us know what we can expect on the second half of the men's boulder round.
Welcome back again, Romain. Now, you are the chief route setter of the event, and so I would love for you to walk me through a bit of men's number 3 and 4.
So men's number 3 is a kind of tricky slab on dual texture volumes. With some coordination moves too, but yeah, very uncertain on feet, on footholds, so tricky last move on men's 3.
And then on men's 4?
And the men's 4, it's a momentum coordination on the first move, and a very powerful swing on the second step of the boulder. So physical one on the top.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So a physical boulder to close out the round, much like we saw in the women's round. So once the athletes have climbed 3 boulders plus a semifinal, we're going to ask them to dig really deep into the big muscles, the physical aspect of a finals boulder. So Romain giving us a little bit of insight. The boulders get set over the course of a week. If you're curious about the process, they generally set the finals first, then they set the semi, then they set the qualifiers, and then they slowly tweak as they go. So they watch the field, who shows up, how well they're climbing. They'll do a little bit of tweak of the semis after watching the qualifier. They'll put the finals boulders up today, and then they'll go and discuss, do we need to make it a little harder, a little easier, a little left, a little right. So a look here at this slab boulder, as he said, on some dual textured, every single hold here is dual textured. So remember that that means that the shiny part of those holds is glassy to the touch.
Very slippery.
Yeah, you can engage carefully with your feet on it, but you can't really drive heavily into it.
And when you have chalk on your hands, it definitely makes it even more slippery. So that undercling start, they have to kind of work their way out left and then continue to work their way into the zone, standing on these delicate footholds. Lots of pressing, small feet, not a lot of good feet, and then the last move is where that coordination is, and I'm glad we got a close-up on that little screw-on because you are likely not to see it because it really blends in person, and you have to kind of throw your feet out in a swinging motion, similar to what we saw a lot of the women do on women's number 3, and it's a very high-risk coordination move, and there was that overarching theme for these next 2 boulders of coordination. So obviously something all the athletes have trained a lot over the last 5 to 7 years as bouldering problems have changed a bit. So not something they're not familiar with, but
they don't always love to see it.
Yeah, and also the level of dual textured holds and how much of that slippery surface is present over the years has really increased.
Yeah, a lot. And it allows us to set moves with fairly large holds but low climbing surface areas. Jongwon Chan is going to get us started and executing the dynamic toe catch perfectly.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the toe catch. How did I forget about that?
Because there's so many things going on.
This is true. I do love a good toe catch.
More than an inside flag?
Oh,
I'm just going to put it out there.
You saw he found that screw hole.
Yep.
Again, something that athletes, you know, you don't always think screw hole, must use it, but if it's there and you find that it could be helpful to secure your forward momentum in the climb, you definitely want to take that opportunity. So now he's going to have to set up to kind of jump over. And what's weird is you have to jump over this one and just throw your right foot all the way to the other side.
All the way to the other side.
And then the finish hold is blocked. And it's just really scary.
It's really scary.
Oh,
and look at the streak of boot rubber.
Huge streak of shoe rubber. He's like, whoo, okay.
Yeah, I just wondered, just for a minute, I thought maybe he had hurt himself. His eyes got really big, but he's just looking at maybe establishing what the fall is going to look like there.
And no matter how many times you slide off slabs like that, it's always shocking when it happens.
Oh my God.
For the first time on a boulder you've never tried before.
And in your mind, you're going to stick it because you have to approach every hold as though you're definitely going to stick it. But watch here, the intricacy involved and just over. Oh, under.
Wow, yeah, he just didn't. He tried to swing that leg over and he was able to, but just not enough. I think he needs to really pull back a bit more to set up for the swing so that he's able to kind of, it's almost like a leap actually, a little leap over to that other volume.
Okay, I'll take that, yeah.
Just less of a jump. Throw in some gymnastics terms for everybody.
Why not? If you've got the background, dig into the background. Let us in. I don't mind it at all. Okay.
Setting up for that first toe catch again.
And
it's a nice opening move. It's tricky, but not too bad. It's a move that everybody's probably done 1,000 times, but it's just nice to always have a committing move on the slab to start right into that screw hole. And he makes it look really easy, but grabbing those things is kind of gross.
It's
like
gnarly.
It's painful.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Now he just needs to really set up well with his momentum and elongate his body, really kind of extend when he's doing this swing so he can end up higher a little bit better, but again, he's kind of staying tense
Low.
and pulled in instead of really kind of sinking into a swinging motion. And I do get that the left jib foot is not great, but I think if he was able to do that, he'd have a better chance of ending up on top of the hold with his foot, but then also high enough to catch the undercling, because if you're under the undercling, you're not going to be able to hold it.
Yeah, low under and undercling is the worst place to be, and it's we're piling in 3 or 4 things for these finalists to do, and jump high, jump carefully, jump accurately, slot into an undercling that's guarded, and make sure your foot comes down at the right time, and then OPS, be a little bit higher.
Yeah, right?
So
just, you know, do 1,000 things at once, and that's how you can be successful.
If you could just go ahead and do that, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Youngwon Chan.
Oh, I like that he tried to come into the left hand. It could work, but then it also commits you to hitting the bottom end of the undercling.
Yeah, he was right on the lower edge, and he just looks exhausted, even though he's only done, and you see on the way out, still staring up at the boulder.
It's so hard to not think about them. It's funny because, you know, watching all the competitions, you really start to notice things that you don't realize you naturally do yourself. And I even notice, even in the gym, when it doesn't even matter, the minute I fall off, I immediately look up. That is the first thing I do.
And lead climbers, they're still swinging on the rope, and they're looking up.
Yeah.
It's similar to, well, I'm gonna take a more layman's approach. When you trip on the sidewalk, you look immediately down.
And backwards, and then trip again.
And then trip again, because you're still moving forwards. If I know my wife is listening, because she, you know, watches most of the climbing comps, and she laughs at me all the time. And I tell her, I'm like, I gotta know. I gotta know if that was me or if there was something on the sidewalk that tripped me up. I gotta know if it was whether it was my fault. If something jumped out, exactly, and pulled my toe down. So Youngwon walked away looking at that boulder like maybe it moved just at the last second.
Right into that toe hook, so smooth. Right. Now, I have a feeling he's gonna like this jump across.
You do, hey?
I do. It's a gut feeling.
Okay.
I think he's gonna like it.
Pressing up into this sort of half drop knee. Lei Kawamata. Ooh, what is happening here? Is he gonna try and go?
That's a really good, that would be a really big span, but maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, keep an eye on that jib.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea, but
almost
a long way away. And how much do you think he's staring at that huge streak of boot rubber going, if Youngwon missed, what am I gonna do?
You know, I feel like in competition, you don't think that way. You think, oh yes, my foot goes there. You don't think, oh man, that person fully just missed. I don't know. At least I never thought that way. I do think on that attempt for him, he was more focused on the hands versus the feet. So that's an easy adjustment. But he moves through volumes really nicely. And I think if he can just set his body up properly, he can make it happen.
Yeah. And these moves here are a bit taxing. And you're holding a lot
before you
celebrate. I'm going to create a running scorecard, maybe.
I'm going to get a shirt that says match before you celebrate.
Match before you celebrate.
Oh, we've got some chants in the crowd for Ross.
That's fantastic. Ross will like that.
I do think he'll like this boulder as well. He's very good on slab, generally good at coordination, and he's definitely a fighter.
Yeah, and he's hurting a bit by not getting zones on the first 2 boulders, so he's just got to keep digging here. Doesn't
that was
need
a very delayed toe
yeah,
hook.
maybe
See?
Yeah, very secure in his footwork.
I feel like I'm just waiting to see how he sets up. Wouldn't it be incredible if he got a flash?
It would be. Oh my goodness, Ross Fulkerson
can reach.
Almost.
Just let go of that left hand a little more.
Just as he overweighted the right foot.
I think that might be more detrimental than helpful. Because
the unwind will be very violent.
And the problem too is that if he can create enough reach for himself by releasing to the ends of his fingertips with the left hand to get to that right hand, he's gonna be so spanned that it's going to be really hard for him to move out of that, and likely having to release with the left hand so much, you could just slip off.
I am very curious to see if he goes back to that method.
Yeah. He usually does a good job of playing around with different methods, so we'll see if that happens here.
Quickly back up in here.
Let's see if he makes an adjustment here, or if he goes with the same method. Now, he could bring that, you know, we earlier saw...
Maybe.
Yes! Makes that adjustment, makes it happen, and a top for Ross Fulkerson.
Salt Lake City crowd
Tiny
blows
leap.
the roof
I
off.
love that.
Tiny leap. And he slowed the movement right down and put it into just enough momentum to control. You see head nods from Coach Josh Larson. He likes what he sees there. First World Cup final is a process.
It really
so
is.
good. And he controlled no open door, no barn door hinge there.
Really nicely done. You know, for half a second before he set up to do that wind up to a leap, I thought he might try to cross his left foot through and move over, because that could possibly work with his wingspan, but I'm really glad he went to the other method, but it seemed like he was kind of thinking about it.
Just for a second, you always see them looking around. I liked when we saw that look of just before Lei did the last move, where he looked up, looked down, and you saw him line up the foothold and then look back to the finish hold for his hand. So you know where the focus is. Andrzej Paharts jumping up quickly here.
I mean, this boulder, definitely one he could do. I mean, one he could flash. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that that little hop, that's the same thing Ross did.
I think maybe if you're taller, it's more comfortable.
Perhaps, yeah. As we continue to grow and get stronger athletes who have been training for longer and more specifically, I feel that every boulder has a climber that can flash it.
Yeah.
You know, they're just...
Oh, and he does it. Beautiful climbing by Andrzej Paharts. Definitely looking to get on the podium here tonight. He is a man on a mission. I'm embarrassed that I've said that now twice in the broadcast over the last few days. I don't know where that comes from.
It gets in your head. It gets in your head. You know, it's you try and avoid some of the familiar expressions. Of course, we need to use them because we talk about a lot of climbing terms. But you say something once and you think that sounded good. I'll pull that one out again. But you look there, really good control. Slovenian coaches on their feet.
And you know, he's won quite a few bouldering world. Oh, that was John Huang. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong athlete.
Andrzej, he's doesn't have a gold medal to his name yet.
But he's been in the finals.
Yeah, lots of finals appearances.
But needs to be more familiar with the podium and looking like he could make that happen.
Yoshiyuki Ogata. Yep, is today the day.
You know, earlier today you mentioned that the round looks like boulders that Miho would be really successful on, and I feel like this round is a round of boulders that just seem to be great for Yoshiyuki.
Yeah, springy, bouncy.
Yep, everything that he's so good at. Just taking a few seconds to go back and check out the boulder.
This is his chance to overtake Yongwon Chan and keep pace with Andrzej.
Just flying through this boulder.
I mean, I promise you those moves are difficult. People fell off doing those moves many times in a row.
Yeah.
Yoshiyuki Ogata lining up the last move. Just having a look at the feet, and he's...
Oh, he kind of was on the screw hold. That was so smart. And again, flash.
You got that one right. Little flex of the muscle, a little exhale. Woo, keeping track indeed. Yoshiyuki Ogata. 3 tops in 3.
Yep.
That's going to keep him just ahead of Andrzej.
A battle.
Battle indeed. Kokoro Fuji can stay in the hunt for a podium but needs to get a top and needs to get it quickly. See there, just a palm on the wall where we saw, you know, maybe the hand down on the volume, a little bit more necessary from Lei.
Yoshiyuki's looking a little more relaxed as we get through the round. With each top, he looks more and more relaxed.
As does tend to happen.
Yeah.
It does. It builds confidence. It builds security in the fact that you're doing the right things. You're making the right adjustments. That's super important. And now we have Kokoro Fuji. 4 minutes, last climber on boulder number 3. Just gonna be careful. Again, as we've mentioned, he'll know that his teammate put that boulder down quickly and probably know that Ross and Anjay did as well, because you'll see the people in front of you just leaving isolation very soon after the climber before them.
And I always wonder how many athletes are, I mean, you're allowed to listen to music as long as it's not connected to Wi-Fi in any way. And I was never an athlete who did that. I prefer to not listen to music, but there are a lot of athletes who do. And if that is you, there is a chance you actually don't hear the crowd at all.
Yep, that was me. I was, I don't want to know. I just want to go down and imagine that I'm, you know, just doing my job regardless of what other people are doing. Kokoro Fuji setting up. Doesn't look
we could see super flash,
comfortable.
Oh.
Shorted it.
He did.
Yeah,
whoa!
I think.
Very happy.
Yeah.
That was a close one.
That was a close
one.
one.
A little sigh of relief there.
Fell very close to the wall.
Everyone's kind of trying to check it out a little bit more.
Make sure.
Whew. A heart stopper for a second.
Just that look on his face. Like,
yeah, he has great facial expressions.
He needs to take a minute here to compose himself. I love that slow wind up. You can probably hear the crowd in the background as they start to get close to the front of the wall. Start to get a little bit excited. Love to see it.
Plenty of time with a boulder like this. You can get back up to that upper part quickly. So similar to the women's boulder today, actually. Don't have to waste a lot of time to get ready for the end. See if he can size it up a bit better here. We saw Yoshiyuki use the screw hole here to kind of pull himself over with the right hand to kind of open his hips and create a better swing. Didn't look like it worked as well for Kokoro, so see if he kind of changes it.
He has got that.
He had the thumb.
Oh, yes.
Nicely done. I think, too, because he's taller, I think pulling over more with the screw hole didn't really help him as much, whereas the thumb, just having it there for balance so he can open up and swing, was a little bit better.
Yeah, not feel like he's unwinding from the wall in any way. And just the way he was stepping on the hold in between, I thought it's an odd, that right foot there just seems like an odd way to set up, and that's when he shorted it. But this time he definitely wound up enough to get over. I just thought that push was odd.
I don't think in the way that he did it, I don't think he was pushing so much. It was more kind of lining him up.
Maybe stabilization.
Yeah.
Just get a little activation in that toe. No matter what style, Kokoro Fuji with the top. So we stay tight on the leaderboard. Yoshiyuki Ogata and Anjay Pahard separated only by count back at this point. Kokoro Fuji just behind on attempts. And then Youngwon without a top there. And Lei missing the top on 2. Keep them 1 hold behind. Ross Fulkerson with a great top there, showing some resilience in his first final. Keep himself up on the leaderboard. Topping boulders feels good. I mean, I think a lot of people have made their first World Cup final and not topped a boulder.
And sometimes not even gotten a zone.
Yeah, you can get hammered in a World Cup final. So Ross, great job to compose himself and put down that top there.
Another steep angle looking at men's number 4. Starting in kind of a wedge position, and then you kind of have to explode out. You could go with the left hand. Likely easier with the right hand, and then kind of stopping with your left hand on the volume, then into this blocked zone hold that you are likely going to cross left hand to and come out to, or I guess you could go left or right depending, but I think left would set you up better so you don't have to cross over later. Nice finish hold, at least.
Nice finish hold.
It's not a hard finish hold.
Bit of a Death Star.
Yeah.
And Youngwon Chan, top required to try and get on a podium and then see what happens with the rest of the field. So still things to play for Jongwon Chan.
See if he goes with the left or right hand, kind of setting up to go left. Oh, wow. Going to the volume first.
Yep.
Very interesting. Completely bypassing the more committing coordination move. That was really smart. I wonder if anyone else will see it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a chance that they talked about it, but there's also a chance that he just intuitively did it.
And there's a chance that as the only Korean in the final that he talked to no one else about it. And here he is storming up this boulder, giving himself a fighting chance.
Amazing flash for Jongwon Chan. And I did misspeak because I forgot about that palm. You do want to go right hand to the zone, then left hand, so you can come into the palm.
Yes.
I think it blended in on the graphic. I didn't even see
didn't
that
even
red
see
hold.
Jongwon Chan with a big thank you to the Salt Lake City crowd. I'm sure the athletes know the weather has been not great, so they appreciate that the spectators have stuck around and putting lots of volume into this. And you see that just perfect movement through there.
He hasn't won a Bouldering World Cup since 2017. This would be huge for him. Back on top. Have to see how the rest of the field handles this boulder.
It's going to take mistakes.
I mean, he made men's number 2 look so easy, and then so many of the athletes kind of struggled with it for a bit. So
it's the Jongwon factor.
Where,
he's been dominant for a long time, and then just now, as we were saying, he's coming back after focusing on the combined, going to the Olympics. So he's reminding them that he's still here. Lei Kawamata.
Wow.
Yes, doing the move as you had mentioned.
Yep, nicely
coordination,
done.
palm press.
So good at coordination. Now setting up for this toe hook in the release to the palm. Shouldn't be a problem after watching him palm that other hold.
So much tension in the left shoulder.
I can't wait to see the photos of those movements.
Yeah, those two moves are going to be cover material. Lei Kawamata with a top. It's going to give him 3 and 3. Can't do better than 4th place, but
great way to end his round. Really nice climbing. A little bit of frustration on some of the boulders, but he never gave up. He kept it together and ended with some tops.
Yeah,
that was
big
so
scorpion
cool.
leg move. And then again here, his palm. That is not easy.
So great. The way he palms and immediately comes up into the shoulder so that he is only coming out from the waist down. His waist or his hips themselves are very much into the wall, but the legs just kind of fly out in a really graceful way, to be honest.
It's true. It does look really good when it's done right. Ross Fulkerson out for the last time, getting composed in front of the crowd. 4 minutes. The Ross chant starts up again.
Hashtag Ross chant.
Yep. That's really cool. You can feel the love. It can be hard when you know you're not climbing as well as you think you should be, and that boost goes a long way.
See how he approaches this. Right. Oh, I don't think he saw the palm, but I do think he just saw it now.
And maybe just a bit of a foot slip, didn't generate a lot of height.
Let's see if he figures it out this time. There we go. Nice, easy.
Love it. You can hear we're right beside a nest of photographers. You can almost hear the shutters clicking.
Just trying to get a snapshot. Now that they've seen these moves, they're trying to get the best part. Oh, wow. Oh, is he gonna, a little bit to the right, a little to the right. Able to make it happen. And another top for Ross Fulkerson. Way to end his first final in a Bouldering World Cup in his home, not hometown, but the place where he does reside nowadays, Salt Lake City. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, digging deep, getting it done, climbing for pride, and should absolutely be proud of this performance in his first World Cup final.
Yeah.
Ross Fulkerson, you showed up and you dug deep. Everybody loves it. This finish, turn, the blind. He had to put his head down to get the distance.
It was kind of fun being like, oh, lower, lower, lower.
Farther, less. It's a hotter, colder.
He definitely can't hear us.
Anže Parts.
I mean, personally, I'm expecting flashes the rest of the way through.
I'm thinking maybe, yep.
It'd be surprising if they didn't, especially because the next 3 competitors have so much experience and have been in finals quite a few times, and some of them on podiums so many times. So.
And Anže can get himself a gold medal with a top here.
Which would be a first for him.
So
Only had a bronze.
Yeah, on the screen there is sort of the best worst case scenario. What was that?
I wonder if he read this with Jongwon.
Yeah, maybe. So
nicely into those crimps, just has to absorb here when he gets to the palm.
Oh!
Almost loses it.
Yeah, not quite as far over as we saw.
Through. It just has to reach for the finish, and a flash for Anže. He
Top
is
of the wall celebration. Yes, let me hear it.
the crowd for more. I see his coaches standing up and screaming. Some high fives between them.
Love it.
Amazing. Also, so much tape on that shoulder.
Yeah.
After a couple 2 weekends of pressing.
Anže has put himself at the top of the podium for now. He's got Yoshiyuki, who can just barely get ahead of him. We see that great finish from Anže.
Yeah, this will be really interesting to see how that plays. I mean, I honestly would be very surprised if Yoshiyuki fell.
Yeah, a medal for sure for Anže. The color to be determined by the climbing of Yoshiyuki Ogata, and to some degree, Kokoro Fuji. No, I think Kokoro can't overtake Anže based on attempts, but Yoshiyuki absolutely can. If he flashes this boulder, Megan,
he will be the gold medal.
He will be the gold medalist.
Champion.
But it has to be a flash.
And it's well within his ability.
Yep.
And I mean, not too long ago since he had his last gold medal in 2021 in Innsbruck, so looking to make it happen again. And a great weekend last weekend as well, finishing second. You can't really do much better.
No, it's true. These are what podium finishes.
Oh, wow, with the heel at the same time.
Different coordination, still coordination though.
You know, it honestly looks less risky, but it is still very risky because throwing in that heel, he's shorter, so he had to throw that heel, and that's a dual text hold, so.
And
nicely absorbing.
A great look at the angle there. Yoshiyuki Ogata for gold! Gold medal here in Salt Lake City.
So excited.
And I think he might even know it.
I think so too. Great climbing from Yoshiyuki Ogata today. Absolutely incredible.
Near perfect in the finals. Him and Anže shoulder to shoulder the whole way through, pushing each other for those flashes. Oh,
wow, big hug from his fellow competitors. Again, one thing I love most about this sport is the camaraderie and the support from the athletes, and not just within your own nation, but internationally. You don't even have to speak the same language, just the language of climbing.
I thought you were gonna go there, and I kind of hoped you were. So I appreciate you taking that sentence to its natural conclusion.
You know. Gotta do what I gotta do.
So, with one climber to go on boulder number 4, Megan, we are nearly done. Kokoro Fuji can get himself a bronze medal here, just needs to get a top. A top in as many tries as he wants. It's gonna be a bronze medal. And I think with the zone, man, my math. Zone might
You're in charge of math. I can't say much about that.
Okay, you talk about climbing, I'll do math. But we know for sure that a top will get him the bronze medal.
See, being a bit taller, he was able to catch that heel lower, so you're not forced into that other hold that has the dual text. It's a little more secure. Not really much worry here, just the absorbing of this next hold. And you know, when you're a little taller, it's actually a bit harder. And we saw Anže kind of struggle with it a little, but Kokoro brought his hand up more to the right and kind of cupped it just easily into that top hold.
Celebrate, match, and celebrate. Kokoro Fuji earning himself a bronze medal
Amazing
in
climbing
this Salt
for
Lake
the
City
men.
World Cup. That is something he's done before.
Great at celebrating.
Yeah, he knows what's up.
And the crowd loves him.
He's, I mean, a man with 6 gold medals to his name. He knows what it takes to get on top of the podium. A veteran, really, at this point. We didn't really ever talk about it. The elder statesman of this round at 29 years old earns himself a bronze medal in Salt Lake City. Megan Martin, that's it.
I can't believe it.
The men's final is done. The women's final was earlier. You're going to run over and try and catch our champion, Yoshiyuki Ogata. I'm going to hang out with you guys, take you through to that, and see what words are going to come from Yoshiyuki Ogata. Just another look here at some of the work at the end. The Kokoro Fuji controlling that swing better than everybody, even as one of the taller climbers in the round. And making absolutely no mistakes at the top. So a tight round the whole way through. Yoshiyuki Ogata neck and neck with Anže Peharts. Kokoro Fuji right behind them. So a really, really good battle for this podium from some of the best in the game. And we're gonna bring them out here. Gonna show the crowd the podium to come, the flower ceremony for the men. Bronze medal for Kokoro Fuji. Silver medal for Anže Peharts. You're gonna see a smile here. Yoshiyuki Ogata, your gold medalist on our second Salt Lake City Boulder World Cup. Take it in, you see Anže there, I think, saying, let's throw the flowers. Just getting the order. That's great. You're like, wait a minute, silver's on the right. See Megan hanging out with Ross, I'm sure, some kind words for him. He looks so excited. Throws from the men. People have some pretty cool souvenirs. I'll tell you, I would take flowers from Yoshiyuki Ogata and put them in a vase when I got home as well. That's a pretty cool souvenir. There you see it, so close. Yoshiyuki, all the difference being in that count back, slightly better score in the semi-final round. Great climbing from all 3 gentlemen on the podium to get those 4 tops. Youngwon Chun doing almost enough in his first final in a little while. Lei and Ross running out the top 6. Let's hear from Yoshiyuki Ogata. Okay, so interview not coming up right away. My mistake, interview coming up in a little bit. So that as it gets a little bit towards the end of the evening here, 9 o'clock in Salt Lake City. Thanks for watching. Stick around and watch the podium. It's coming up soon. And an interview from Yoshiyuki Ogata. Here you see that Salt Lake City crowd slowly filing out. Going to go find some warmth, I think. That's what we get with outdoor venues. The outdoor venues bring the ability to put a lot of people in the space, but we're left to Mother Nature's whim. And this weekend, she played a few tricks on us, and it is a little bit chilly if you're standing around and watching, but the athletes would probably have been pretty psyched on the temperature. They like it to be a little bit colder. We talked about it at the lead into the broadcast. The friction is quite a lot better when it's cold. I know quite a lot of climbers who prefer it to be cold. Personally, I like it to be warm. I find that my muscles activate better when I'm warm. But everybody's a little bit different, and it's just one factor. There you see someone who caught one of the flower bundles, maybe a little bit of jealousy. A great stage here to showcase these boulders. EP wall gets put up just for this event. Just around the street from the USA Climbing Training Center. If you're not familiar, the USA Climbing has centered itself here in Salt Lake City. So they moved their headquarters here. They have a training center, which they're trying to make into really one of the best places in the country to come and get better at climbing. They've encouraged the USA Climbing athletes to, if they can, move to Salt Lake City to be consistently part of the training program. I talked to Josh Larson quite a bit. He's the head coach of the US team, about the idea of bringing the climbers here. And when they opened the training center, they had one climber come, and now there's 17 athletes from the national team. So they have, in essence, shrunk the country down to Salt Lake City. And now the athletes that come and train here can get pushed regularly by their compatriots, who are also some of the best in the business. And the results have come almost immediately. You see on the women's side, for sure, a lot of podiums over last year and at the start of this season. Sean Bailey with a bit of a breakout season, and then you saw quite a lot of Americans in the semifinal. Ross in his first final, having just moved here. So the model works. Put a lot of strong climbers in one place, and they're going to make each other better. I think you guys know that at home. When you have a strong crew working with you, you're pushed to try harder, you try new things, you want to be ahead of your peers and your teammates. So USA Climbing doing it right here in Salt Lake City by moving the training center in and encouraging their athletes to come and be part of the best, be around really good coaching all the time, and just a beautiful place to live. In the mountains, lots of climbing and mountain biking, a really, really good spot to be. Okay, now we're going to hear from Yoshiyuki Ogata. He's with our Megan Martin after this win in Salt Lake City.
Yoshiyuki, you were second place last weekend and now first place this weekend. How excited are you about your gold medal and nearly perfect round?
Yeah, in the first World Cup of this year, I got second place, and the second World Cup, it was like third place for me. And last weekend I was like second place. But I was dreaming to win, and then finally I got the top of podium today, and yeah, I'm so happy about that.
It was absolutely incredible to watch you, and when I saw these boulders, I immediately thought, I think Yoshiyuki's gonna like them. Did you have the same feeling?
Yeah, I mean the boulders were a little easier compared to usual World Cups, so that's why all of finalists were flashing, almost flashing the boulders, so that's why it made me so pressured, but still I was excited to try them, and yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for you for this amazing season you're having and how consistent you have become in the bouldering, and best of luck in the next event.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yoshiyuki Ogata highlighting there the added pressure of a round in which you need to climb near perfect. So that's going to be his second gold medal of this season. Last time in Seoul just a couple of weeks ago. Love hearing that, his excitement of being on top of the podium even after, this many years competing. And then just that insight into what does it mean when people are sending boulders in quick succession? So what kind of pressure does that add? So you heard him say maybe a little bit easier, but he knows that everybody is going to be flashing boulders. And my mistake, I was looking at the wrong page. His last gold medal was in 2021. Back in Innsbruck. So silver in Salt Lake City last week, silver in Meiringen, and now gold here in Salt Lake City.
Absolutely incredible record so far this year. I'm interested to see what's next for him.
Me too. I'm interested to see what's up next for all of these athletes.
This is true.
And just to look back here, there's your women's final. A quick recap. We're going to get ready for our podium and awards ceremony. You really could see how excited he was with that gold medal.
When I walked over to him and we were waiting to start the interview, I was like, oh, you're still looking at the boulders? He's like, I'm just so excited. My heart is still beating so fast.
I love that. And you see even here, Anjay is talking, they're miming out moves and he's looking over his shoulder.
They can't stop.
They live and breathe bouldering
And the
climbing.
boulders are actually being taken down as we're speaking. Like, women's
Yes.
boulder number 3 is no longer in existence except for the top hole, which would be very hard to do.
And I'm pretty sure they're burned into their minds as well. I saw you just having a moment to chat with Ross.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious if there's anything that you can share about what he might have said, if you guys talked about his experience, or if that was just sort of a nod and a hug and a pat on the shoulder.
No, we definitely talked about it. I mean, the first thing I said was I was so excited for him to, you know, get 2 tops in the round, and he was like, oh, it was amazing. I had so much fun. And he immediately was like, oh, I just like messed up a little bit on that one. I missed the hold. And I was like, yeah, but I was telling him that I mentioned on the live stream that, you know, it wasn't too long ago that he was just trying to get in finals in domestic competitions, and now he's in a final in a World Cup. And he was like, I know, I just can't even believe it. And one thing he said as well, because he was still looking at the boulders, he was like, I just want to climb more. But right now, that's all I want to do. So bright future ahead for Ross Fulkerson.
And that buzz in perspective is really important. I was talking with one of our young speed climbers, Ethan Flynn Pitcher, while we were watching, and he was, he climbed he made it into the finals of speed, and in his round of 16, he was up with Vitric Leonardo.
Yeah, I remember.
The best in the world. And so we were chatting when we were watching the boulders yesterday, the qualifiers, and I said, you know, how are you feeling? He said, I'm a bit sad that my finals experience was so short. But the perspective that he's gaining is, you know, if you want to be the best, you got to play with the best. So now you know
what it feels like to run against the best.
Exactly. You know what it feels like. Yes, 5-1 seems a long way away, of course, but he was shoulder to shoulder with him all the way through.
Yeah.
A couple tenths of a second is not that far off. So for Ross, one more top puts him in the hunt for that medal. So he's, you know, you're in the final, now you see what it feels like. You have to take the experience and grow with it. We have to think about careers, seasons and careers, although the athletes tend to say hyper-focused on either one boulder or one round or just one competition. The big picture really, really does settle in and help you grow your career. And I'm sure come Monday, he'll look back pretty warmly on the evening that he spent here.
100%. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment. I said this earlier. I've said it 1,000 times. Getting into a World Cup final is no small feat. Some people will never get. I never got into a World Cup final. I mean, it's hard. It's very hard to do, and it's something very special. And once it happens once, there's that possibility that it'll happen again because you've unlocked the fact that it's possible. So, yeah, I just can't wait to see what happens next for everybody.
And the flip side of that, and just because we've got a little time to talk about it, and I find it interesting, is that not to build too strong of an expectation. We did sort of hint at that earlier in the round, and I've heard Janja say that although she's made a habit of winning boulder competitions, she doesn't enter a competition expecting to win or expecting to make a final. So the public might put some pressure on you unnecessarily. They might think, oh, Natalia should make every final now because she's made so many in a row. But that's not how it works. The field is too deep, and you saw Natalia get pushed today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I don't think it's a level of expecting once you've made it into a semifinal or a final, but I think you are able to just articulate your climbing and climb to your ability more because you've now been in a semi a lot of times or a final a lot of times, and so it's more that you're not being held back because you want something so bad, so your body is able to perform the way it has always been able to.
You kind of get out of your own way a little bit and say, oh, okay, I've removed a layer.
And on the flip side of that, what we saw from Natalia today is that she's had that, right? And now she's getting to the point where all of a sudden she has won so many. She has become dominant at this point, or one of the more dominant athletes. There are a few of them. And now there is a different kind of pressure that starts showing
Starts to creep in, yeah. And you have to be careful not to, you know, overload yourself in that way. We're just sort of we're wrangling athletes, I'm sure. We're wrangling officials. It is the hardest part of a bouldering competition is the podium. Everything else seems easy comparatively. I think I've heard the joke before that if they can put boulders up in this amount of time, they can put a podium together. So maybe we need the route setters putting the podium together. Maybe that's
well,
what we're
the
missing.
problem is the route setters have to take down all the holds because these walls have to get moved like tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to Vail tomorrow. You're right.
Yeah, so.
A level of pressure involved there. They've already taken holds down. People milling around. It's cool that there's still some people. I'm telling you, it's cold here.
It is. We have a
but
blanket,
some people are
and
hanging
it's
out.
still not warm enough.
Yeah, there are still a few people who will hang out to watch the podium. That's great.
Also, it's a nice time to catch up with people.
Yeah.
These weekends, you know, they're long, but they are also very short in a sense. So you think,
They're busy.
I'll have time to get to see you and chat with you, but then maybe you don't. I mean, I know for us, we don't get to chat with as many people as we would like to because obviously we're working.
And we wave. I saw a few people that I know drift by and friends that I see only a couple times a year, and you know, everybody's busy. It's cool. It's such a great
frantic wave
experience.
of the wave from the booth.
Yeah, and it's the like, you know, I know you know that you know that I know that. You
Talk
know,
to you later.
We'll catch up later if we can.
Job comes first.
Yeah, 100%.
I like to say we're professionals.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. We made up some words today. Professionals get to make up words, don't
Yeah,
they?
you never. I mean, I take it that way.
I think so. I think that comes with the territory. Once you've established yourself as being, you know, somebody that knows what they're talking about, then you get to have a little bit of professional courtesy and, you know what, make a word up.
Why not?
And now I can't remember what it was, and it was good too.
I don't remember either.
It was good.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to go listen to myself for the first time ever.
Go back and be like,
I can't. Can you
say?
do that? So when I was competing, after every round, if there was a live stream footage or if anyone got videos, I would always watch myself after every single round just to, you know, critique what I was doing and then try to take that into the next round, but I cannot watch myself broadcasting.
I'm going to date myself by telling you that when I was competing, there weren't a lot of live streams, so I had to look at photos to break down. I'm like, were you really out of control there or not? And I would tell you that I do listen to a lot of broadcasts. I go back and I make notes. And
makes
it's
sense.
hard. It's hard to do.
Hard.
It's hard to do because you hear all your mistakes as critical as climbers are. Well, here is our women's podium. We've asked them to stick around, watch the men, so hopefully they're warm enough. And your bronze medalist. Wonderful stuff. Brooke Rabatou, bronze here in the second Salt Lake City weekend.
Silver medal last weekend, and then I believe 2 bronze last year at this event.
I've swapped all my windows over. The stats are all on the men. I don't have that for sure. You hear that? Yes, Brooke. And if you didn't watch last weekend, the trophies they give out here are super cool. They're representative of the mountains here in Utah, in Salt Lake City. Your silver medalist, Miho Nonaka, back on the podium, back-to-back weekends in Salt Lake City.
All 3 of them, same podium, just a different orientation.
Swapping them around. And Miho close to the gold, just needed a top on the last boulder, and a top on the last boulder won her her medal last weekend. So it would have been really cool. Back-to-back gold medalists for Natalia Grossman.
And she really had to fight her way through. I think perhaps the qualifying round went really, I mean, it definitely did go well for her, but semis was a bit of a struggle, and the finals tonight, definitely she had to work for it, and she did a great job.
Did a great job. Had to dig deep, find another gear in some instances. Had to deal with falling off some boulders.
Even said she wanted to give up at one point, so.
Yep. Interesting, right?
Yep.
So if you've thought it, they've thought it. Just take a pause for the national anthem.
motioning for both Brooke and Miho to join her on the podium, as made possible by the Yeti coolers
The
that
Yeti,
can
the
easily
large
fit
Yeti
3
coolers.
people.
Exactly. Maybe a new tagline, fits 3
Yeti
medalists.
built for 3 medalists. I'm just kidding.
And if that shows up, the
Then
trademark
I
needs to come
better
back.
get a percentage.
Yeah, need to hear it, need to hear it.
Amazing climbing by these women, and so much camaraderie between all 3 of them.
Talk about getting used to your competition. Knowing what needs to be in store. Just gather the men.
Which they shouldn't have been able to get too far.
No. The fact that you say being able to get means that they try to get away instead of stay where they're supposed to be. So there we go. We have wrangled them effectively. Small but mighty crowd left here, crammed up to the front of the barricades. Your bronze medalists, Kokoro Fuji.
So familiar to the podium. Such an incredible athlete.
And the whole program,
Oh, I
the
know.
Japanese team for a number of years
So
now
many
have just
years now.
been putting talented athlete after talented athlete
As with
into
the
the World Cup.
Slovenians. I mean, 2 powerhouse countries.
And Korea, we saw quite a lot of Korean athletes, and I'm just going to go say America. I mean, we're, there's a lot of strong countries. Your silver medalist from Slovenia, Anje Peharts, very excited.
Well deserved.
There's a really good mic up there somewhere. You could do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know, right?
Congratulations, thank you. There you have it. And standing on top of the podium here in Salt Lake City, your gold medalist is going to be Yoshiyuki Ogata. Yes.
And so maybe this is why I made the comment about his profile photo, because honestly, when he is not on the wall, he is literally always smiling.
I'm
And
with you.
again, well deserved. Such an incredible season so far.
And just continuing in that, a career of success.
Building that consistency every weekend, every year.
We will take a pause for the Japanese national anthem. Your podium for the men here in Salt Lake City, and I think the men have started doing this pretty consistently too. It does make for a great photo opportunity.
It really does.
Anje, get that medal spun around. Trophies up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with Megan and I on the live stream broadcast. Megan, thank you so much for your insight over this weekend. Love having you here.
And I love being here. It was a blast. Can't wait for the next one.
Salt Lake City put on 2 great Boulder World Cups back-to-back, 2 great speed World Cups back-to-back, and one fantastic paraclimbing competition. We packed a lot of excitement into 10 days. I'm P. Woods for Megan Martin. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.